Happy Monday. Welcome in. It's three-man front. Jocks 94.5. The ump up in Huntsville. Jocks 740 in Montgomery, Alabama. Pat Landrum, Conrad, and Molly with you until 2 o'clock. So much to get into. We're 43 days away from SEC Football Media Days in Atlanta. We're just 82 days away from kickoff of the college football season over in Ireland. We'll be here before you know it.
Yes.
But we do have a lot of baseball to talk about today, whether it's college, MLB, minor league. We've got all of that straight ahead on the program. We'll also get into what else? College football, as we just mentioned, just right around the corner. This is what we talk about every single day on this program. It's also Reaction Monday. So much to get your reaction from over the weekend, including the Stallions and a very impressive win up I-22 in the bluff city of Memphis, Tennessee yesterday. So the Stallions are definitely trending in the right direction as they get ready for the big USFL Conference Championship game coming up Sunday at Protective Stadium. So, yeah, overall, it was a good weekend for Auburn baseball, not so much for Alabama baseball and the rest of the SEC. It was kind of a murky weekend from the SEC perspective.
Yeah, if you're an Alabama fan, I don't know if you expected to advance to a super regional and having to travel to Hattiesburg with the field that you had there. But if you're a Texas fan this morning, if you're a Vanderbilt fan this morning, ooh, you are looking for answers right now because you got a lot of questions for your baseball coach and those baseball programs. Just wild to think that those teams are not going to be advancing.
Well, let's talk about the good news. The Auburn Tigers, they advanced to their fifth ever super regional. Tigers hit 351 over the weekend. That will play. They went undefeated. They outscored their opponents 28-11 down on the plains of Auburn. 7,373 people showed up at the game yesterday afternoon. In Auburn's three regional games, a Plainsman Park regional record. Over 22,000 people attended Auburn baseball over the weekend. And you know, with them hosting the super regional coming up, that number is probably going to easily be eclipsed. They're going to take on the 13th ranked Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. The Chanticleers won their regional in Conway, South Carolina. They have now won 21 straight games. They won, obviously, all three of their games in Conway. So Auburn is hoping that they can advance to the third College World Series since 2019, but this will be a tough task against the Chanticleers.
Yeah, and you look at the regional that they just won with the likes of East Carolina and Florida, and I know we'll get more into some of the other storylines coming out of that part of the bracket, but yeah, for Auburn to get to a World Series, it's not going to be easy, and as you mentioned, 21 straight, 51 wins on the season, a team that's playing with a lot of confidence, but Auburn, they played very, very well there at Plainsman Park, and I'm sure that they will be trying to push. I don't know what – because we talked to somebody who's involved with the setup process, Pat, of going and setting these events up, and he's a great listener and a friend here of the show. I don't know how much closer they can get to maybe pushing that 8,000 number with it still being condemned here of the show. I don't know how much closer they can get to maybe pushing that 8,000 number with it still being considered.
Be a great atmosphere coming up this weekend as the Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina will invade Auburn. Meanwhile, Alabama, very disappointing weekend over in Hattiesburg. Miami beat Alabama 5-3 on Friday. It was good to hear from Bama Hater on social media. Didn't know he was a big Miami baseball fan, but apparently so. They took care of the Tide 5-3. Alabama blew a lead. That was 5-3 in the eighth inning, and then Southern Miss, and then they ended up losing 6-5, I should say. Alabama did. So that was disappointing. Thought Riley Quick pitched a great game on Friday. Did give up the 3-run homer in the first inning, but after that, man, he was throwing gas. He was over 100 pitches, and he was still throwing 97 miles an hour.
Yeah, and that one stings too because, I mean, if you watched it, I mean, you came about 6 inches away from having a walk-off home run. At the very end there, Snell sending it to the warning track and just wasn't quite enough. But, I mean, very, to be completely honest, pretty typical of what you've seen from Alabama this year. Had a very nice regular season, but the postseason has been a problem for them in recent history. And now you go back to what you saw kind of in the SEC tournament against Tennessee and the bullpen just not really being able to do a whole lot. And offensively, they were so good all season long. And then you get to the postseason, you have some struggles. So
6 consecutive tournament loss for the Tide.
Yep.
6 in a row. They went 0-2 in last year's regional as well. Um, it was really interesting because you were watching and, Southern Mississippi and going to Hattiesburg. And, hats off for all those teams that were there playing. Obviously, it was disappointing for Alabama, but, man, Columbia and obviously Miami, they showed up to play. And so Bama finishes the season with 41 wins. It's most victories in a season since the Tide managed 43 wins back in 2023. But the big story, and everyone's taking the victory lap today. Just think about it. Last Monday at this time, you had Greg Sankey meeting with the media, and everybody was ripping him for the things that he was saying about the college football playoff. Well, then the SEC baseball ended up getting 13 teams in the big dance. And then you had the overall number 1 seed, the Vanderbilt Commodores, the number 2 seed, the Texas Longhorns. But man, Vandy baseball, rough weekend there in Nash Vegas. This is the way it sounded. As of all teams, Wright State takes care of Vandy.
Breaking ball swung on, lifted into right field. There is Gilkerson. He's got it. And Wright State has done it. They have knocked off the number 1 national seed on Vanderbilt's home field.
It was just shocking because the first time that Wright State played Vanderbilt, I think their pitcher was throwing a no-hitter into the 6th inning.
That is correct. And then they
had to pull him.
And then they hit a home run, and that kind of started their hot streak there.
Wasn't there a little bit of controversy there at the end of the game?
Well, Vandy had hit a home run, and for the life of me, I do not understand why they don't have foul poles that is more than 20 feet.
It seemed pretty obvious it was a home run.
It did seem like it, but it'd be much easier if you literally had a foul pole that was the size of a Major League Baseball foul pole.
Yeah.
I don't understand why this becomes an issue, especially when you get into the postseason.
It's hard enough just to see it with the naked eye when you have one of those, if it's a corner that's kind of tucked in there like it is at Fenway in right field. So to ask an umpire at the college level on the fly, no pun intended, to rule on one of those balls and you've got a foul pole that's all of 10 feet.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. All right, so Vanderbilt becomes the first number 1 national seed not to reach the regional final and the 4th top seed to miss the super regional round. It was the Commodores' second time being awarded the national number 1 seed, the first time since 2007, where they lost in the regional round. So Vandy has a little bit of history of falling on their face. Well, that wasn't it for the SEC. Number 2, Texas, they were hosting. And of all things, they were playing the Extension Center, the University of Texas San Antonio in Austin.
They do have their own board, by the way.
This is the way it sounded on ESPN+.
Swing and a miss. Pack your bags, Roadrunners. You're headed to the Supers.
So 5 hours after Vanderbilt had their season come to an end, seed, the similar fate. The Longhorns lost 7. They fell short. The Roadrunners took them out 1, and the number 2 reached the super. Fact, this all budget dollars for their baseball program. The San Antonio Roadrunners, they budget of 1.7, at least 5 times of UTSA, just right. Send the number 1 baseball season. The team that won the Southeastern Conference regular season championship was the number 2 overall seed in the baseball tournament. Move on.
And now with the transfer portal, and I realize that you get this in all sports now, but for UTSA, a team that we saw and covered because they played that American Conference schedule, and to go in and to handle their business against Texas, a team that, and it wasn't even that difficult the way that they navigated through the conference schedule in the SEC. But to get that done, all I'm saying is this. I don't know how they appropriate their funds. I did mention that UTSA has their separate board They have a separate board, so they're not controlled by the board that is Texas, but they are an extension. But what does this do for the allotment of funds next year? Are you working at 700,000 and now Texas, big UT, they're going to get 12 million, Conrad?
Maybe so. I'll tell you, yesterday is probably the best day Texas A&M fans have had in a long time, though. I'm
Good
pretty
point.
sure yesterday put a big fat smile on their face.
Yeah, because the weekend started that really shocked a lot of people. Well, it didn't stop there, folks. State third baseman Brock Thompson eliminate the Bulldogs. That I don't know. That had all absolute bench clearing. Georgia homered. They threw. You had, making motions to chase people off the field. Ever find in a baseball game. And Oklahoma State overcomes just an onslaught of home run balls that Georgia hit yesterday. And Oklahoma State beats the number 7 seed Georgia.
Well, when you hit 2 home runs in the bottom of the ninth to win it, and the walk-off was just an opposite field bomb. There was absolutely
Did
no
you see
doubt
the
about
bat
it.
flips? Did you see all the controversy
I
with
saw
that?
one of them where you can see the Georgia guy. He holds on to the bat until he gets right in front of the dugout
And he
just
flips
it in front of him. And at that point, on that one, if I'm not mistaken, Georgia was still losing at that point, which I think that's really what ruffles your feathers. It's okay if you're up 10-0 or something, maybe we'll give it to you, but you're still losing the ball game, and you're gonna kind of do that showboat in front of the bench. Mm-mm.
And the head coach of the Oklahoma State Cowboys is Josh Holliday, whose brother is Matt Holliday, who played for the Cardinals, and whose father was a head coach at Oklahoma State back in the day. He was none too happy about everything. And I will give him major kudos. When they did an in-game interview with him, he took the high road, unlike some of these other coaches that you're going to hear throughout our broadcast. I don't know what was going on yesterday.
Man.
But I'm telling you what, they have got to, first off, I'm going to be the guy that's yelling at the clouds. I'm going to be the guy that's saying stay off the lawn. But all this bull crap that goes on when people hit home runs at the college level,
Yeah.
and they're all running out and they're all doing, gyrations and all that kind of stuff and wearing the stupid headgear, all that's just hit your home run. If you want to take all the time you want to run the bases, so be it. But the flipping of the bats towards the other dugout, this whole celebration that you just won Game 7 of the World Series, stop. Hit your ball, run the bases, come back, do your high fives or whatever, and that's it. But for the whole team to come out of the dugout, and do this whole orchestration, it's one of the things that I don't like women's softball, like all that business going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a lot of extra.
Again, I'm the oldest in the room.
No, but I get it.
Obviously, I'm playing up to the fact that I am the oldest by saying what I'm saying, but that's just my opinion.
But you're right. It has gotten excessive, and now where it's kind of the culture that is college baseball. I'm like you. If you want to celebrate and you want to do it in your dugout and wear whatever, you can dress up in full drag if that's what goes for you.
You want to do that in the dugout, have at it. But for the whole team,
no, I agree.
To come out, and unless it's a walk-off and your team just won,
hey,
all that other garbage.
Dog pile in Omaha.
It is a garbage.
Dog pile in Omaha on the final pitch, the final out, when you claim a national championship out there on the field, at least for your celebration.
I thought
agree,
it was
100%.
overboard even at the high school level, honestly, because you see that at all the same thing too. And I get it, home runs are rare to come by a lot of times in those situations, but yeah, you don't.
I got news for you.
I've never thought you need the whole team out there. It's not necessary.
Go watch travel baseball. Go watch community baseball. You got walk-up music. You got speakers going on. You got all this.
Hey, you play in one of those tournaments, Pat. You get a ring.
It's just.
Well, they're trying to be like the other leagues, because people hated when the NFL cut down on the celebrations, and that's what the NBA's tried to do, and that's what kids want now. They want to wear overpriced clothing and sunglasses and arm sleeves. And
at the younger level, that's how they justify the thousands of dollars
that they have
that the parents have invested.
That's a good point.
To go and watch Johnny and Susie play.
So then don't get mad if you got Tony Vitello out there, ranting and raving and doing his shtick. I mean, the players are just as bad. I mean, seriously, I watched a lot of college baseball this
We
weekend.
got a lot of hothead baseball coaches.
And I mean, but again, it's just, I mean, when you got the Duke head coach mouthing off.
I do think that situation was bad.
No, it was bad, but once again, kudos to the umpires to say enough is enough with these clowns running out on the field right after every home run. That wasn't a game winner.
No, but I will disagree with you. I think the Duke situation, that was an umpire trying to make it about him, in my opinion. I thought that was an unacceptable.
But that umpire's called a lot of games, and maybe he's just like, you know what? You guys know better than that.
But you're going to eject a kid for a super regional game because he was on the field celebrating a home run? That's bullcrap.
Well,
in my opinion, I thought that was disgusting.
I bet it won't happen again.
Yeah, it should have happened in the first place.
I bet he learned his lesson.
Yep. Probably did. I agree with you. But in the same breath, that umpire has been putting up with, who knows forever, all the antics, how many games that guy's umpired this season. And finally he's like, you know what, on this stage, maybe this will send the message. Maybe he did it for the betterment of all of college baseball.
And by the way, speaking of the Georgia deal, did you see the Georgia guy that had his shirt unbuttoned all the way
that was bad.
Down to his navel?
Yeah, no room for that. That was just like it drove me crazy with Zeke Elliott at Ohio State. Why are you letting him wear his jersey up to his nipples? Like, come on. No.
Well, the NCAA's got a lot of work to do in the offseason because there are a tremendous amount of things they need to clean up in the wonderful world of baseball. But listen, I don't think he should be suspended for his game, the Duke player, in the Super Regionals. But again, you also have to be in the umpire's position. And if you see things that potentially could be escalating and, ejecting him from the game is one thing. I'm not in favor of him being suspended for the next game.
No,
but obviously that's the NCAA policy. If you're ejected, then you're suspended for the first game of the next one, just like you are if you're called for targeting in the second half of a football game. It's the way it is.
Let's talk about the last 2 minutes while the NCAA is at it of a college basketball game and how long that takes now with all the reviews that we get.
Yeah.
A lot on the docket.
All right, so I just mentioned the fact that Vandy, Texas, Georgia, we mentioned Bama losing. Mississippi State loses in Tallahassee. Florida loses in Conway, South Carolina. And Kentucky, they lose in Clemson. But they did knock out Clemson before they got knocked out of the regionals. So if you're an SEC fan, your hope today is Chapel Hill Regional, Oklahoma versus UNC. You got Ole Miss at home against Murray State. In Knoxville, you got the Vols taking on Wake Forest. Baton Rouge tonight, you've got number 6 LSU. They're a 5.5-run favorite over Little Rock, but they were a 7.5-run favorite yesterday and lost to Little Rock.
Goliath was a 5-run favorite over David.
And then the Hattiesburg Regional, it's not an SEC team, but you got Southern Miss versus Miami. So everything gets going at 2 o'clock today as Oklahoma will be taking on the North Carolina Tar Heels. And Oklahoma beat them 9-5 on Sunday. So there's still some opportunities for SEC teams, could punch their ticket to the Super Regionals. But needless to say, it has been a very disappointing weekend where 7 SEC teams have been eliminated.
Well, because of our schedule, I didn't get to watch as many regional games or regional sites as I typically do, and just kind of ones that pertain to us. Did you see any regional sites, did you guys, venues, ballparks, that you said, man, I like what they did there, that you typically don't see?
I thought Oregon's was interesting because I don't get to watch a lot of the West Coast baseball.
Interesting in a good way?
Yeah.
Did y'all see what Clemson did with their bullpen for the visiting team?
Oh, yeah.
Did you see that? So they set up their bullpen where it's essentially right on the fence. So the opposing team's bullpen, like the Auburn or the Clemson student section, is right there heckling them the entire time they're warming up.
Yeah, that's the way it was a couple years ago when Tennessee was there.
I love that. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. Now, if that happens in Philadelphia, you get people arrested. Because I saw over the weekend, I guess when the Braves were there, they had arrested a few fans. That was giving the Braves
I didn't know that.
Bullpen.
Those fans, it's beyond heckling. Then it becomes almost criminal harassment.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, well, and at least in like the Clemson situation, I mean, you could have like put your hand out and touched one of the opposing pitchers if you really, wanted to get yourself tossed out of the stadium or whatever. But home field advantage, baby. That's why you're hosting.
Absolutely. Unfortunately for Clemson, now they're concentrating on football.
Yeah, it didn't work out for them.
When we come back on three-man front, we'll open up the phone lines, 1-800-239-WJOX, the courtesy GMC text line, 205-834-9450. Jonathan Nelson, the general manager of the Birmingham Barons, he'll join us in the 12 o'clock hour. Big one this week, Rickwood game between the Trash. Talk to us about the pageant Rickwood game. Reaction Monday, John. One 1-800-239-WJOX, 205-834-9450. I mentioned all the teams that lost this weekend. I do want to give a little, outside of Auburn winning, Arkansas also was undefeated as they're heading to super regionals. So it's good that Auburn and Arkansas carrying the flag of the Southeastern Conference and taking care of business where they needed to take care of business.
Well, there is a long summer of heat and humidity ahead of us, and you can keep your home comfortable with Trane, America's most reliable HVAC brand. And to give you a little more peace of mind, Trane is currently offering up to 10-year warranties on parts and labor for select home comfort systems. To learn more about this incredible offer and to find a specialist near you, just go visit them online at Trane.com.
So, staying on the baseball theme, Landrum and his beautiful wife, they were over in Atlanta for the affiliate weekend. I know you guys had a great opportunity to see a great game on Saturday. Unfortunately, did not turn out that well yesterday, but saw that you got to hang out with some fine furry friends there at Canine Protection Group.
Yeah, Global Canine Protection Group.
Yep.
I saw it. I saw the handler that was with the dog, and these are great dogs that, and this all comes out of Opelika, Alabama, but for big events like that, but also shopping malls, other stuff. These dogs, they're highly trained, and they can detect the smell of a firearm from just it's incredible distances. I don't want to misspeak, but yeah, I saw the handler and I said, "Hey, by the way," I said, "We're from Alabama. Is this?" And he said, "Yeah, we're the same group, and we're out of Opelika." And I said, "This beautiful dog. Can I take a picture with the dog?" You don't know the protocol for some of that.
Sure.
And he was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And the dog's name was Gage, and it was a really fun time. And I appreciate the Braves Radio Network and Ed Kennedy and all those folks in the Atlanta Braves for just putting on a first class weekend. It was great.
Unfortunately, the Braves lose yesterday 3-1 to the Red Sox. Red Sox infielder Trevor Story hit a bases-clearing double off the wall that staked Boston to the early 3-0 lead, and the Braves did not recover. They lost the game 3-1. Garrett Crochet struck out 12.
Yeah,
he was dealing. Braves lose their fourth straight series. Losers of 8 of their last 11 games. They fall from 24-23. They're one game above 500. Now they're 27-31, 4 games under, 9.5 games back. Atlanta is off today. They're going to host Arizona on Tuesday for a 3-game series. And just moments ago, the Braves have signed veteran closer Craig Kimbrell to a minor league deal. He has been called up to the big leagues.
Yeah.
Now, I'll say that he hasn't been called up to the big leagues, but Ken Rosenthal is reporting that it looks like that Kimbrell's deal refers to a potential opt-out clause, which means that other clubs could grab him unless the Braves bring him up.
Well, you might need a closer if you're ever in a position to win another game. I'm not trying to be the hey we're terrible. What Braves got problems. Braves got problems, and just talking with people that I trust and listening to even Joe Simpson yesterday, and he's part of the Braves broadcast, and somebody brought up a comment that I did not hear on the broadcast pad on Saturday when he was talking about Walker Buehler and getting upset for the Red Sox and throwing a ball there in the dugout, and he made the comment of, well, it's refreshing. I'm paraphrasing, refreshing to see someone actually get upset and show that kind of emotion. And he was asked about it yesterday, and he said, yeah, it was pointed. It was pointed exactly at the Braves. He said, when's the last time you saw a player that got visibly upset after a boneheaded play or striking out at the plate? That fire's not there. And you certainly don't see it from Brian Snitker. And I have all kinds of respect for Brian Snitker. I think, first and foremost, he's a really, really good man and a good human being, and I appreciate everything that he's done. But that team needs a spark, and that was confirmed from 2 people that I talked to. The clubhouse is not good right now, and the bridge that was the constant that has been for the Braves in the past in keeping that clubhouse on a good level, keeping a good climate in there was Travis d'Arnaud, and he is not a part of that. And for whatever reason, you're not getting that. And Brian Snitker, I think Braves fans are probably their patience is waning thin. After the game yesterday, his press conference, it was about as defeated and demoralized as I've ever heard, and him just saying, well, it's Major League Baseball, and it kind of goes like that. That's not probably the message that fans want to hear right now. Yeah, we know it is. We know how much we pay for tickets to go watch these Major League Baseball players play. With all due respect, Brian.
So you think they would make a change before the All-Star break?
I don't know. That's what I don't know if it would happen before the All-Star break, Pat.
Since it is in Atlanta.
Yeah, right?
Because it's very typical.
I don't think they would.
Typical, you would have the manager of the host city to be in the dugout.
Yeah.
That's kind of a customary gentleman's agreement between whoever won the National League pennant, which was Roberts. Obviously, he's going to be coaching the National League All-Star team, that he would reach out and ask Snitker to be part of his coaching staff. So
It's rough. So is there somebody that maybe the bench coach, is there somebody in the clubhouse that it's kind of known, hey, if Snitker were to go, this is who's going to take over for the rest of the
That's
season?
what I was asking. Walt Weiss would be the first guy that comes to my mind, but I guess we'll find out if it happens. I don't think it would happen just out of respect for Snitker before the All-Star break, but
Do you think they just let him finish out the year
ooh,
out of respect?
I don't think so. No.
I think they get to the All-Star break, and if the Braves are still teetering where they currently are, then
The internal belief that this is not a division championship caliber team, your best bet is to try to just sneak in and grab one of those wild card spots.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just not.
that's going to be tough.
That's you just can't feel the energy. And if you've watched the Braves over the past few years, you see them in the dugout. It's even with the nonverbal and how they interact with one another. Very, very little of that. It's very cliquish. And without going into more detail about something that I can't share, just saying the clubhouse is not good right now.
Is there any thought that, if this is how it continues for the next month and a half, would they try to blow some things up at the deadline and ship off the Sean Murphys of the world, those kinds of pieces, and just look towards the future and kind of give up on this year?
Potentially. I mean, Ozuna, that's a story. I don't know if you saw that this past weekend, but Ozuna in the kind of the final year of his deal, and there's reports out now that he's got a tear or some kind of injury that he's trying to battle through. And maybe you could get some help and trade him off. But Sean Murphy, I think that would certainly be on the table. Love watching Drake Baldwin play.
Been there, done
on
that.
Saturday.
Don't want to go down
You
that
don't want
route
Ozuna?
again?
Now we're good.
I mean, Yankees. You guys would pick him up,
I
right?
was about to say, we need a bat.
I mean, the problem with the Braves are the following. So you're 4 games under 500. You can't even have a conversation until you get to 500.
Yep.
Okay. You are next to last in your division. There are 8 teams in front of you in the wild card.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you are knocking on the door. I mean, you've got to leapfrog a lot. And it's one of those situations, even if you were to roll off 10, 11, 12, 13 wins, you got to have a lot of other things happen. And I'm speaking from the guy that watched the Cardinals win, 12 in a row, something like that here recently. 18 of their last 23 they won, and we're 4 games out in the National League Central. We're 7 games above 500. So, I mean, got to have a lot of things happen. First and foremost, you got to get to 500.
I told Dorothy Saturday, I said, treasure this. Treasure this game. This might be the best game. I'm pretty certain it was the best game we played all season, but this might be the best game that the Braves play all year. But it's still a wonderful experience, even if the Braves aren't winning. I haven't been to all the ballparks, but you have a lot of fun if you go to a Braves game.
Oh, yeah. It's a great atmosphere. Can't wait to be up there for the Yankees.
Yeah.
Maybe with your new
manager.
I wouldn't trust the Braves to win 2 out of 3 versus
the Rockies.
No, I think
I'll
I
fall
think they got
short
that.
of saying the Rockies.
But they did lose 1 to the Rockies.
They did.
Yeah, they did.
Hey, so did we.
I know. Trust me, I've got that list. I'm keeping up with all the teams that have lost to the Rockies. I wouldn't trust the Braves in a 3-game series right now. If your pitching's there, your timely hitting's not. And then Ronald Acuna, I thought about you, Pat, yesterday. Trying to remember, it happened twice, but the first time he's on first, there's 2 outs, there's contact. It is a ball that hangs up in the air forever and finally falls in right field. And I'm just assuming we're all following the ball that Acuna's rounding third. I realize he's had the knee injury, but how has he not scored? Well,
and didn't Snitker say that he's in the best shape of his entire career?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think now is the time for Brian Snitker to. Doesn't seem like he's in a position right now to be chastising Ronald Acuna about hustling. Who knows?
Fair.
All right, phone lines are lighting up. Our text line as well, 205-8349-450 on the Courtesy GMC text line, 1-800-239-WJOX. 1038 Jocks 94.5. It's going to be a great summer at Smith Lake. Looking for a pontoon boat this summer? Poorhouse Branch Marina at Smith Lake is the only dealer on the lake that has Avalon pontoons. Avalon pontoons are known for luxury, comfort, and performance, and pair it with the most fuel-efficient engine on the water from Honda Marine. Poorhouse Branch Marina at Smith Lake also has Tahoe pontoons ready for family fun. Get it today with in-house financing. See it all at PoorhouseBranchMarina.com. So we're waiting the College Football Playoff Executive Committee. They're going to get together on June the 18th. The 4 Power 4 conference commissioners, after all the belly aching that went on last week between the conferences, they're scheduled to have a call tomorrow, the 4 of them. That's what Greg Sankey told the Dan Patrick Show earlier this morning. Sankey also mentioned that they are seeking the next steps in a playoff format discussion. Quoting Sankey, disagreements are fine and makes us better. We have a responsibility to work together. End of quote. Here's Brett Yormark. This is what he had to say as he wrapped up the college football playoff meetings and what was taking place in Orlando at the Big 12 spring meetings.
But I think there's real momentum for 511. Certainly the public is voting yes for it, which I think is critically important, and it's a very good sign. And yes, the Big Ten and the SEC are leading the discussions, but with leading those discussions, they have a great responsibility that goes with it to do what's right for college football and not to do anything that just benefits 2 conferences. And I have a lot of faith in the process, and I think we'll land in the right place.
Are the people voting for 511?
The public has spoken, Pat.
Yes, it's the people's vote, Pat.
I mean, I didn't realize we could.
We all
could vote
liked
on
it.
that.
We've all come to grips with it.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I just like the idea of, well, that's what people on social media said they want, so let's just make it happen.
It's just amazing because before Greg Sankey said what he did in Destin, not one single person was talking about a 511.
But Brett Yormark came up with the idea, Pat.
Yes, he did.
It was his idea.
Yes. He's going to do that victory lap. He's going to circle the wagons and say, I'm the one that came up with the 511.
Who talks first on that group chat that they're going to have? Would that be Sankey or Petiti?
I think that would be Sankey.
Do they unmute Dr. Jim Phillips' microphone? Sorry, Jim, we're having trouble with your microphone.
Do you think Jim's got any of those old Alliance T-shirts hanging around?
Yeah, I'm sure him and
With
Kevin
him.
Warren wear them to their weekly brunch that they get.
With George Kliakoff, as George Kliakoff's trying to sell him a Hoover vacuum?
That's right.
I agree. They need to make decisions that are best for all of college football.
Well, just like you said, like the people,
Yeah.
Like no matter where you're going, you're in the grocery
It's
store.
like it's American Idol.
Yeah, people are stopping. Oh, yeah. Got to call this 800 number and vote for the 511 format.
Wouldn't that be something? They just, we're out of ideas. All right, everybody, here's a text line we're going to set
I
up.
wouldn't
Everybody vote in what
trust
they
it.
want.
It would be rigged.
It would be rigged.
It'd be rigged.
But that's a good idea. You do a text line and the money goes to a charity.
There you go. Or the pot for the next national champion.
But don't reveal the actual numbers when it's all said and done. Kind of like they don't do with the strength of schedule. Don't reveal it. Just say, hey, we can confidently tell you that 69% of the population voted for the 511.
But there's no doubt I think Sankey would be the first person. Petiti has been relatively quiet. Petiti appears to get in behind closed doors, and he's a real go-getter. But he is one that will not say anything in the public view that will be misconstrued or people will be able to throw harpoons at him.
Does Greg Sankey start it off by handing out the document that was handed out to the media last week in Destin? Hey, know you guys probably heard about this. Figured you'd want
To go for SEC baseball next year.
Well,
yeah, maybe we'll take the year off.
that was going to
before-
be my next thing. Do the commissioners all take a moment to individually apologize for the actions of a certain coach in their conference from this past weekend, showing their fanny? You had a lot of that.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they just called it a wash since everyone's kind of held accountable. This, yeah, we all kind of had some rough patches. Let's move forward.
So they're going to be on a call tomorrow. Maybe this is a precursor to the CFP meeting that's going to take place on the 18th.
I just wonder how much of the conversation circulates around, okay, the 5-11 format, but then you have the Big Ten the whole time. Well, this is great, but we're not going anywhere with this until the SEC goes to the non-conference games, because that seems to be the non-starter for them. If it's not going to non-conference games, they're not even going to entertain 5-11.
You know, that's an interesting perspective because you kind of wonder what if the other three leagues kind of teamed up against the SEC and said, look, you know, this is kind of a non-starter no matter where we go.
Yeah.
Like, you guys got to get, you know, and play the 9.
It's a good point, because we've only heard the Big Ten say that. I think the Big 12, I think your Mark and Phillips are just happy to maybe get something done, but yeah, they could.
Well, at that point, does Greg Sankey, he calls ESPN? Is that what works? And says, look, they're not budging on this?
No, I think ESPN.
They've already said this is our offer?
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna I mean, Ross Dellinger told Paul Feinbaum last week that the offer was between $5 and $7 million, not the $3 to $5 million that we had heard originally. That's what he said in the interview. That's what ESPN was for each team. That was going to be the breakdown.
Well, because that was my question. Do you go from 3 to 5 and ask for 5 to 7? But if that's what they're offered, do you then go, all right, well, we want
That's what Ross is reporting was 5 to 7. The way it was going to break down, it would be 5 to 7 additional $1 million a year for each team.
So additionally for the conference as a whole, between 80 and like 112 million.
Correct.
Not bad. Play the 9 games. I want it as a fan anyways.
But see, the SEC, they can retort all that and say, okay, look, you gave the power to us in the Big Ten. So no one's going to strong arm the SEC. I mean,
fair point.
Greg Sankey is the type of individual and leader where, just like you said this morning, disagreements are fine. That makes us better. We have a responsibility to work together. And I think they will.
Yeah. And maybe it's, hey, let's iron some of this stuff out that we don't need coming out in public before our meeting on the 18th.
Well, listen, I mean, I'm one of these type of people, and I applaud Greg Sankey for him standing up for the conference, and doing what he did last week.
Again, that's what he's paid to do.
Because there was no reason for them to go on and on about doing what's right for the game of college football. Because if it wasn't for all that, do you think the SEC and Greg Sankey would have been involved in expanding the playoff to 12 teams? No. The SEC was perfectly fine with 4. But instead, Greg Sankey worked tirelessly for years trying to get the college football playoff expanded, which ultimately, at least in year 1, did not benefit the Southeastern Conference.
That's why we got to get it right this time. Just kidding.
More 3-man front on this Reaction Monday. This is Jocks 94.5. 10:50, Jocks 94.5 on this Reaction Monday. Former Auburn quarterback and 2010 Heisman Trophy winner Cam Newton appears on this year's ballot for the National Football Foundation's Hall of Fame class of 2026. Newton has been eligible for the Hall of Fame since 2021, since players have to be out of college for at least 10 full seasons before being nominated, but he has not appeared on the ballot until this year. So arguably one of the greatest seasons in the history of college football. Cam Newton is now finally on the college football Hall of Fame bracket. I mean, not bracket, but the ballot.
If you're looking for a great way to stay cool without acting like a fool this summer with the warm weather here, how about our friends at Mystic Beverage? Mystic Beverage, made in Blount County, Alabama. Sparkling water infused with various cannabinoids for relaxation and focus. From the Nirvanic 25 milligram Delta 8 all the way to the High Hills Delta 9. You want that balanced and elevated vibe. Or my favorite, talk about it all the time, the Lift Blend features the CBD, the CBG, the Delta 9, and the green coffee bean extract. It's going to boost both your body and your mind. Pick you up when you need that pick-me-up. Great alternative if you don't want to drink alcohol, if you don't drink alcohol. Great way to do it. Blood orange, southern berry, mango, and watermelon. Those are the flavors. Go with a mango. It's really, really good. Available locally. Find it at your local Piggly Wiggly, mysticbeverage.com.
What a way to finish the regular season. Stallions' big win yesterday up I-22 in the Bluff City of Memphis, 46-9, the final score. Memphis was held to 201 yards of offense. Stallions linebacker and former Georgia Bulldog Tate Crowder returned 2 interceptions for touchdowns. Crowder's returns were of 51 and 75 yards. The Stallions offense scored on every possession but its final one, which ended on the Memphis 10-yard line.
No punts.
But here's the amazing stat. You want to talk about how good the offense for Skip Holtz and Jamar Smith, how good they have been over the last 2 weeks. Would you like to take a guess what they are on third down combined?
Last 2 weeks on
last
third
2 weeks
down.
on third down. Their third down efficiency.
I'll say they are 24 of 28.
18 for 22.
20 of 25.
Whew, that's pretty good.
That is incredible.
That's pretty good.
I have never seen a number like that. High school, college, pro, spring ball, whatever you want to say. 20 of 25 on third downs.
And to do that against a team that you played woefully bad at Protective Stadium when Memphis rolled in here, but there's no masking that. Putting up 46 points the way they play, they're gelling at the right time.
No, there's no doubt. Let's listen to Skip Holtz. This is what he had to say after the big win there in Memphis.
The team that's got a chance is going to be the team that has improved the most during the course of the season. The team that has a chance is going to be the team that is going to play with the most passion, the team that's going to be focused and dialed in. We talked about the standard that we have here and that we've got to continue to strive to reach it. We were able to score on defense, not once but twice. Well, we weren't. Somebody was. Able to score not just once but twice. We blocked a punt, which we have not scored on defense all season, I don't believe. I believe I'm accurate in making that statement. And we scored twice today. We blocked a punt today. Just a real testament to these players and the attitude that they went out with.
I'll tell you what, just the offense, and we just talked about some of the numbers. Really, Jamar Smith and him coming on board and getting more and more comfortable with the surroundings, and he already knows the offense better than anybody outside of Skip Holtz. So, yeah, you got to like Birmingham's chances. I've not looked to see if there was a point spread for the USFL championship game on Sunday, but I would think that Birmingham would be a favorite finishing the regular season 7-3. And if you like trends, Michigan is 0 for their last 7. They have never beaten the Stallions, ever.
It is worth noting, though, that when we played them a couple weeks ago, they were without their starting quarterback, Bryce Perkins, who has been one of probably the 2 or 3 best players in the entire league this year. So just keep that in mind for this game this weekend. But, yeah, Stallions, if they play like that, nobody's taking them out.
800-239-WJOX, 205-834-9450. A lot of texts coming in, a lot concerning college baseball and what happened this weekend. It was storylines of upsets, but also players, coaches getting ejected. and sound bites going viral, which you will hear during this show. This one rolls in. Please discuss what happened to the FSU baseball coach. Not sure why he got tossed in the game versus Mississippi State. That would have been Mississippi State pitcher gets a check swing breaking pitch that's ruled a strike, and then he starts taunting the guy that he strikes out before he runs off the field. Visibly
3 times.
Taunting, yelling. Link Jarrett, FSU baseball coach, took exception to it, asked the umpire. He didn't like the explanation that he gave, and then Link Jarrett got tossed.
Well, I didn't think it was a swing either. Like, I would have been upset
No,
about
I'm with
the
you.
call on the play
I'm with
because they
you.
didn't
Did
even defer to the
No.
first base umpire. They just called it and went with it.
So there you go. We got a lot more text rolling in as well. We'll get to those as we continue. Reaction Monday, the Monday edition of 3-Man Front, Jocks945, JocksFM.com, the Jocks945 app, and our friends watching on YouTube. Hello.
Welcome back. It's hour number 2 at 3-Man Front. Jocks 94.5 on this Reaction Monday. Pat Landrum, Conrad Molly with you until 2 o'clock. It is Reaction Monday. We welcome your calls at 1-800-239-WJOX. The Courtesy GMC text line 205-834-9450. Auburn advances to their 5th ever Super Regional in baseball. Alabama's baseball season has concluded with a loss in the Hattiesburg Regional over the weekend. SEC's already had 7 teams eliminated from the NCAA baseball tournament. Vandy, Texas, number 1 and number 2 nationwide. They are bounced out of regionals that they hosted. So today, you've got Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and LSU, all with opportunities to punch their ticket to the Super Regionals, as all of those games will begin after 2 o'clock.
As we all know, the road to Omaha, it is a challenging one. It's hard to get there, but it's easy to get to our friends at Dobbs Ford. They're right there on Parkway East. You can check them out. Just great family run business, and everybody from the husband and wife, the managing partners, Joey and Rachel Goshen, to their son Austin, everybody at the Dobbs Ford team, you're going to be treated like you deserve to be treated. And really everybody deserves to be treated this way. Unfortunately, you go to places, not necessarily car, truck, SUV dealerships, but you go to places and you're like, golly, aren't I the customer? Do I have to buy here? No, you don't. You're going to see the difference when you get there. A great selection of cars, trucks, and SUVs, the F-150s, the Explorers, Expeditions, monthly specials that beat any competitor's price. Check them out. Dobbs Ford, right now, you get the Ford employee pricing. You're going to pay what the Ford employees pay on certain makes and models, and also 90 days until your first payment. DobbsFordBirmingham.com. That's DobbsFordBirmingham.com. Check them out today, and always tell them Landrum from Jocks 94.5 sent you.
So Auburn baseball's next opponent is number 13, Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina, they have won 21 straight games. They won all 3 of their games in the Conway Regional. But the big story coming out of the Conway Regional was the antics of Florida head baseball coach Kevin O'Sullivan. Now, there was an incident that occurred prior to the Florida ECU game that had everyone talking. O'Sullivan was upset that the game was moved. He was seen ripping into Coastal Carolina officials and NCAA officials. There is now a video that has been out there on social media of him basically standing there, like, I guess on the mezzanine level, giving the what for to not only the Coastal Carolina, but an official NCAA representative. I counted 19 F-bombs.
I was going to say, I think that video holds the record for most F-bombs said in a 45-ish second span of time I've ever heard.
Now, we have the video, and we would love to be able to play it for you, but honestly, the only thing you would hear would be the bleeps.
Yeah, it's not worth playing.
Yep.
I mean, it was absolutely an embarrassing situation for Kevin O'Sullivan, and it is a black eye on the Florida baseball program and a black eye for a Southeastern Conference head coach. It was terrible. Like, if you want to do that, go behind the scenes, head into a locker room, head into a conference room in the stadium, and you can blast 19 F-bombs if you want to. But for you to do that in a public setting when everybody's got a camera, I mean, the individual that was filming this, what would you say, was a good 30, 40 feet away?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you could hear everything that was being said. It wasn't like they were having a conversation like at this level. It got elevated, and it was F-bomb after F-bomb after F-bomb.
And even if you want to get, and I wouldn't call it animated, but stern in your tone, whatever, but there's no need for some of the personal shots that it seemed like he was taking, and one very unfortunate comment that he made that might end up potentially landing him, if he's not already, in some really hot water. I'd be very, very embarrassed right now if I was Scott Strickland, somebody going and representing that, and a guy who has had the utmost success. He's won a national championship. He's a guy that, I know Coastal Carolina, their coach talking about, this is a guy that people look up to, and for him to degrade and demean over a scheduling change. And I realize that you're probably not upset. You're not happy that it changes your schedule, but to go and to show your butt that way, that was not good. I'm glad it got picked up, though.
Well, Coastal head coach Kevin Schnall, he wanted to address the matter after his team won the regional, This is what the head baseball coach at Coastal Carolina had to say about the incident that took place with Kevin O'Sullivan.
One last thing I have is I have to say this, and I don't know if I'm supposed to say this or not, but I believe in standing up for what's right, and what transpired this morning on our field. Another coach disrespected our associate AD, who works as hard as anybody in our entire program. He disrespected our field crew, who are the salt of the earth. These guys would do anything for our program. It's not okay. And this needs to be brought up. Absolutely disrespectful. As a coach, it's our job to mentor young kids. And the way he treated the 2 site reps, the way he treated our associate AD, the way he treated our field crew is absolutely unacceptable. And that's what I'm most disappointed about. This is a national champion coach who thinks he can come in here and try to bully people around. Disappointed. Disappointed, somebody that a lot of coaches look up to. For him to act that way, really disappointed. He disrespected a Hall of Fame coach who's the site rep here. That's all I got to say.
There you go.
And I've been privy to these conversations and look, doing beach volleyball, but you still have schedule changes and things happen. You have weather coming in, you have a lot of amount of time that you can do it. I'm just saying this in this instance, and seeing NCAA officials, site reps, members of boards that are coaches or administrators at other schools, having those conversations. It's not always a conversation that a coach wants to hear, but you have to, at the end of the day, come to grips with it and say, okay. But I have never, ever seen a coach in that situation go to the links that you heard from Kevin O'Sullivan on that video and just going out of his way. What was his problem with the field crew? What could that have possibly been about?
I guess it was their decision in delaying the game, or the game being delayed, or the way they were managing the field taking too long or something.
Well, like in his diatribe, the F-bomb episode, where you could hear him say that he understands that they have a difficult job, but this is blankety blank 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 blank. So he admitted that, hey, I know you guys are in a difficult situation, but
I'm going to go ahead and tell you how horrible you are and how stupid you are for making this decision, because it doesn't fit our schedule.
And it just doesn't look right, especially because you got pounded by East Carolina in the first game of the day on Friday. And I think that probably soured his mood greatly for the rest of the weekend. So let's hear from Kevin O'Sullivan. He had an opportunity to address the media, and hats off to this media member from South Carolina, because he asked him 3 point-blank questions. Listen to Kevin O'Sullivan's answers.
Coach, could you address the situation before the game?
I don't address that right now.
Nothing there, apology or anything like that?
I handled it properly. You
handled
at the end of the game, yes.
Okay.
At the end of the game, he handled it properly. What did he say? All of that I said before the game, hey, just kidding.
Yeah.
Didn't mean it.
Pre-game. Just ignore what I said in the pregame.
Yeah.
What would you say? It was 40-something seconds long, the video? I counted 19 F-bombs.
I forgot exactly how long it was, but yeah, it was something like that.
Where was the robotic leg comment?
Let's see. It is a 47-second video.
Okay.
So that's, what, an F word every 2 seconds?
Less than,
2.5 seconds?
3 seconds. Mm-hmm. Wow. That's pretty good.
It's a record right there.
It could be a record.
He has won national championships in Florida, but it goes without saying that it will take you 10 seconds to do a Google search on Kevin O'Sullivan and his, let's just say, interesting Google searches that pop up with Kevin O'Sullivan and his current wife.
I was about to say, it'd be one thing if this was, man, I've never seen guy act like this before? Have any questionable, maybe red flags from a character standpoint? And then, yeah, you like you said, you piece it together and you go, okay, maybe this was just a matter of time.
Well, yeah, just some of these things that the Google search reveals that even if you're accused of saying that, he should not be accused of, or he's not guilty of a hate crime. I mean, just you go through the timeline, and that wasn't even this recent incident. You just go back and look. To me personally, the guy seems like a real jerk. I don't know about you guys. It strikes me as a real hothead, and he's a jerk, and probably not a whole lot of fun to be around. I wouldn't want my son to play for him.
Hey, if you don't start 1-11 in SEC play, maybe you can host your own regional, and then you don't have to worry about dealing with the Coastal
And kudos
Carolina
to that
people.
baseball team to put it together and make the run that they did just to get in the postseason. I'll give him that. And he's a whale of a baseball coach, but it's mad as you get. And even if you're in the right, don't talk to people that way. Come on, man. But I'm guessing that he won't be winning any off the field community awards.
I don't think so.
We hear about during a broadcast.
No.
Being honored for that.
The Good Hands team.
Well, and
Kevin O'Sullivan.
And what's
this year's award?
What's Scott Strickland going to do?
Zero.
You think he even makes a statement? Did they even put anything out?
I mean, they just won the basketball national championship.
Yeah.
I mean, he's on, he's good for a while. Until Billy Napier goes, 4-8 this year. And then all of a sudden, then it kind of ramps back up.
Yeah.
No, I'm like you, though. I don't think anything will happen to him.
No.
Because first off, they're going to say, well, somebody took a video. Well, hey, coach, don't be standing in the mezzanine in full uniform.
Well, that's the other thing. Is you're in full like, there's no way, even if nobody has a clue what your name is, like, oh, that's the Florida baseball coach. It's very obvious.
Very simple. Hey, we need to talk about this. Can we go somewhere and have a conversation?
Yeah.
So I can rip you to shreds in privacy.
Then you get behind closed doors and you can absolutely undress everybody that you need to undress. Tongue lashing, F-bomb, whatever you want to do. That's fine. But to do that, and even when you're watching the video, you see, I think, a young woman like walks past them. I mean, they're not, again, I'm not saying that these people never heard those type words before, but it's just
no, you're going to get little Johnny a souvenir cup, and it's, whoa, maybe we'll come back next half inning.
It's a terrible look.
Yeah, it's just,
Mm-hmm.
But I doubt very seriously anything will happen to Mr. Sullivan. Was his wife there?
Mm-hmm.
No, I was just asking.
I don't know.
I didn't know if she was there or not. I didn't know if she traveled with the team, if she was there in attendance, and if she would scold him for using that type of language, or
does she make snacks for the boys?
Perhaps. Brings out the Capri Sun in between games.
She has great orange slices.
Orange slices.
Perfectly sliced.
Orange slices. That was always going to be in the repertoire of the team mom. Orange slices.
Then there was always the team mom that brought like Red Bulls or something like that, and all the other moms got upset.
For bringing Red Bulls?
Well, that was
we didn't have that. We didn't have that when we were growing up.
That was my experience.
We just had Jolt Cola.
We had Jolt Cola.
That was it.
And White Crosses that you bought from the gas station that kept the truckers up all night. Wouldn't recommend those either.
Yeah, no, probably not.
No.
And if you see Bad News Bears, there's some other things that you could possibly use, but that's in the later episodes of Bad News Bears.
That's when it really gets bad.
Yeah, not the one that Molly watched.
No.
I did like the one that I watched, though.
Yeah.
The 70s seemed fun.
It was a freer time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very much so.
A lot of stuff back then.
Hey, speaking about free, how about a free roof inspection? How about that segue? That was good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Call Abide Roofing today. There's no strings attached. There's no pressure. They just want to give you an honest look at what's going on up there and give you some options. And this would be a very good week to call Abide Roofing. Why? Is because it appears that we might go for most of the week without any rain. So that's going to give them a great opportunity to get on your roof and give you a free assessment of what potentially is going on up there. Hopefully it's, hey, everything is 100% okay. But if it's not, they can repair those loose shingles. They can repair the entire and replace the whole roof like they did on mine a few years ago. I 100% trust these guys. They're licensed, bonded, insured. They're the real deal. Your roof protects everything you care about. Don't wait for a leak to show you that there is a problem. You need to be proactive. Call Abide Roofing today, 205-922-7134, or simply go to their website, abideroof.com. That's 205-922-7134. Do it for your home. You won't regret it.
Your reaction on the Jocks text line. We'll get to that. Three-man front. The Monday edition continues on Jocks 94.5.
It is 11:20, Jocks 94.5 on this Reaction Monday. We will get to your text messages and your phone calls at 1-800-239-WJOX. I was telling everyone a few minutes ago that Cam Newton is finally on the ballot for the National College Football Hall of Fame, and I'm fortunate enough, I'm a voter. I get to cast my vote every single year, and what happens is you're given an opportunity to vote on 12 individuals and then 2 coaches. And then the lower subdivisions, I'm allowed to vote for 4 individuals and 2 coaches. And then what they'll do is later on this summer, they will kind of narrow that down to you get to a shorter list. And I'm not going to go through all these players, but I will give you some options. And I want you guys to give me your opinion on who you would vote for. I'm going to give you the list of coaches, and I am to vote up to 2 individuals. These are the coaches that are up for the National College Hall of Fame, and I'm about to cast my vote, and I need your help. Jim Carlin, West Virginia, Texas Tech, and South Carolina. Pete Cawthon Sr. from Austin College.
Austin
College.
I think they're the Roos. Kangaroos.
He was the head coach at Austin College from 1923 to 1927.
You have to run back the film on that one.
But he was also at Texas Tech from 1930 to 1940.
Oh, okay. That's what I remember.
Yeah, they are the Roos.
Yeah.
All right, next on the list, Larry Coker. Miami and Texas San Antonio head coach.
Yeah.
Won a national championship. Wow. I'm going to have a problem saying this name. Molly, can you pronounce this name for me right there?
Oh, why are you making me do it?
Here, what is it?
No, it's Dennis Franchione.
Oh.
Can you believe this clown is up for a ballot in the National College Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I saw that this morning.
I thought it was going to be one of those, sounds like it's spelled, but yeah, Franchione.
Ralph Friedgen from Maryland.
Yep.
Gary Patterson. He's got a very interesting relationship with Dennis Franchione.
Doesn't he?
Chris Peterson from Boise State and Washington. Darryl Rogers from Cal State East Bay.
Yes.
And there's one final coach that is on the ballot. Now, keep in mind, I get to vote up to 2 of these individuals on my ballot. Tommy Tuberville. Ole Miss, Auburn, Texas Tech, Cincinnati. So of those names that I just mentioned, which 2 would you recommend for me to vote for?
Chris Peterson and Tommy Tuberville.
Chris Peterson was the easy one. I guess Tuberville. I think
Jim Carlin. Just take the safe route and go
Is he
Jim
kin to
Carlin.
George?
It's his grandfather.
I think Chris Peterson's the shoe-in, and then I think Tuberville and Gary Patterson, you have a very interesting debate there. I get Larry Coker won the title, but I mean, he won like 80 games in his career. Again, he won the title. That's great, but just in terms of longevity, I'm a big fan of Gary Patterson. I thought he did a great job at TCU for a very, very long time.
Oh, so you're going Peterson and Patterson?
No, I'm going Peterson and Tuberville.
Okay. And that's who you went, right, Landrum?
Yeah.
Okay. Molly?
I think that's a good route, too. Or you could do, who was the guy from the 1920s?
Jim Carlin.
Yeah.
I like Gary Patterson a lot.
No, actually, I'm sorry. That was Pete Cawthon Sr.
There we go.
That was the guy from the 20s.
Not familiar with him.
Yeah, Jim Carlin was the West Virginia, Texas Tech, South Carolina head coach.
It just feels bad leaving off Larry Coker, considering he's the one out of that group that won a title.
He has a win-loss percentage of .647. Chris Peterson had a win-loss percentage of .795.
He's very underrated.
It's not fair to say it, but I'll say it.
I know what he's going to say.
Well, what I was going to say about Patterson was part of that was being a part of the Mountain West Conference. If you were pitting him up against Tuberville, I would say for the Ole Miss years, the Auburn years, with the exception of Cincinnati, because they were not in the Big 12 at that time, the majority of his career it was spent coaching Power 4 programs.
Very fair.
Power 5 programs at the time.
Dennis Franchione lost 135 games. And you seriously put his name on this ballot?
Don't think he's going to get a lot of votes, Pat.
It's got a .611 win-loss percentage. Tuberville was 159 and 99.
Yeah.
He was .616. That was his win-loss percentage. I'm like you guys. I think it's a no-brainer about Chris Peterson. I'm leaning now Peterson and Patterson. That's the two.
Okay.
Also, keep in mind that Patterson, before the Big 12 really became, TCU bounced back and forth. They were in the Mountain West for a little bit. And then I think they were in Conference USA, if I'm not mistaken, for they had a really weird before they finally settled in on the Big 12.
They did. But I feel like similar with Peterson, and Peterson was a better coach, but I get what they did in the Mountain West Conference and it being, not as competitive, but some of those TCU teams were really, really good.
But Peterson, keep in mind, even when Peterson went to Washington, he took them to the college football playoff and lost to Alabama.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
To a Lane Kiffin-less Alabama team.
Got shut out, if I remember correctly. I know they scored 7 points.
Yeah.
But he still got in there.
Yeah.
He did?
Well, Kiffin was there for that one. He wasn't there.
He wasn't there for the next one.
Yeah.
Cost,
yeah.
Well, never mind.
So Peterson and Patterson, that's where you're going?
That's where I'm leaning.
Okay.
But I will take your advisement under consideration.
Peter Patter?
Peter Patter.
But Tuberville would be right up there as well.
Okay. Just going to remember when he's governor of our state, there's a big issue.
Well,
he might take exception you're not voting him.
I'll tell him that if he will allow sports wagering in the state of Alabama, I will vote for him next year.
I was about to say, there's an easy way to sway this vote for Pat.
Yeah, we can broker a deal right now.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
Can I just have your pledge that you will say yes to whatever vote that is?
I'm looking down the other list, and I swear to goodness, I do not know any of these other names.
Throw one out. I'll tell you the school.
Clarence Stasevich.
Clarence Stasevich, he coached at Wisconsin Whitewater.
East Carolina.
All righty.
Close.
Give me another one.
Alex Unovich.
Slippery Rock.
Alfred, New York. You want to try again?
Yeah.
Don Miller.
Montecito Tech.
Trinity in Connecticut. How about old Dick Lowry?
Oh, Dick Lowry. Dick Lowry sounds like he coached in the South. Dick Lowry was a coach at Center College.
Wayne State up in Michigan.
Woo.
Close.
Yeah. Southern.
You keep going. Just keep heading
South
north.
of Canada.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a problem with the two that I'm gonna need to vote for the divisional coach candidates, they call it. There's a lot of really good names for the individuals. I can vote up to 12, and Cam Newton is one of those individuals.
You gonna vote for Cam?
Yes.
I believe Mark Ingram's up there as well this
He
year.
is. Des Bryant, Kajana Carter, Percy Harvin.
Ooh, that's an easy one.
Yeah. Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, another easy one, yeah.
Let me see here. What else we got? Peter Warwick at Florida State. He was outstanding.
Solid.
Takeo Spikes.
Yes.
Another great one.
Who else on this list here? Morton Anderson.
Yeah.
From Michigan State.
You
got to put a kicker in there, right?
You got to do it.
Absolutely.
He was.
Randall Cobb at Kentucky.
Ooh, yeah. The
Another
Swiss
good one.
Army knife.
Garrison Hurst at Georgia.
Yes.
Sebastian Janikowski.
No.
We already got one kicker, Morton.
You take Morton or Sebastian? If I give one of my 12 votes to a kicker, do I give it to Morton or do I give it to Sebastian Janikowski?
I would give it to Morton, but Sebastian Janikowski, because he came along when I was. We were about the same. He was older than me, but about that same time. That's the kicker that was the most talked about in the history of college football kickers.
Is that not the dude that attempted the 70 whatever yard
For the
field goal
Raiders.
for the Raiders?
There was so
For
much
Lane?
build up and so much hype with him coming in.
Yep.
And
He's a lefty.
They weren't kidding either.
RG3.
Ooh, okay. That's another good one.
Yeah.
Quarterback from Oklahoma between 1999 and 2000 by the name of Josh Heupel.
Heupel?
Heupel? Is that
Heupel.
how you say it?
Heupel. Player.
Ryan Leaf.
Ryan Leaf.
These are some really good names.
Man. He was really good under Mike Price in that offense.
So yeah, I've got 12 names to vote for on that list.
You just named some really good ones. One kicker though, Pat.
Just one.
That's your promise to the group. One.
Okay. All right. I'll report back on my final ballot. I'm going to have to go home and digest it. I just received it in my email.
Pat's going to be sitting there with one left, and it's Cam Newton or Sebastian Janikowski. I don't know which way to go.
No, actually, I'm probably going to vote for Dennis Franchione.
Right.
More 3-Man Front. We will get to your text next on 3-Man Front. It is Reaction Monday. We will finally get to your text messages at 205-834-9450. Next hour, Jonathan Nelson's going to join the program, the outstanding general manager of the Birmingham Barons. Big week this week. Got the Rickwood game going on at Rickwood Field, so a good opportunity to get out to the old ball yard as the Trash Pandas in town are taking on the Barons.
A lot of texts coming in, 205-834-9450. This one coming in from the state of Mississippi, going back to NCAA baseball regionals that are still taking place. Some of them have already wrapped up. The one that Alabama was a part of there in Hattiesburg. This one says it was crazy last night. The umpires didn't even know the ground rules in Hattiesburg during the USM Miami game.
I was not aware of an issue that took place there. Not familiar with their ground rules.
Josh says, Conrad, I saw the knife-chewing child movie this weekend. If you go back to Friday.
Nice.
I could for sure see an A&M fan doing what the mom did to get an SEC championship.
Wow.
It's a lot of inside baseball there, but Conrad,
that is,
given your reaction, you think yes.
That is the perfect response to that movie. Yes. Yes. She does horrible, horrible, horrible things. And guess what? Just like it would if it was Texas A&M, it still doesn't work out for her in the end.
So did the kid just pick up the knife and start chewing on it, or did someone tell him to do it?
I mean, no, the kid's like possessed by something.
Okay, I was going to say the kid wasn't in his right
No,
mind.
the kid's like possessed by something, and yeah. I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, because so many of our listeners are going to.
Joseph ran out to the theater apparently after my brilliant review on Friday.
Who's Joseph?
Isn't that the guy that texted him?
Josh.
Josh. Sorry. Josh.
I just didn't want Josh getting confused.
No, sorry. Josh. My bad.
Bobby, regarding LSU losing last night, the one thing that cost them in that game was the fact that you can't walk 11 batters in one game and expect to win. 11? Especially if 7 of those walk batters are scoring. Should be better pitching tonight, but can't have a repeat of that. Nope. They'll get you beat. CJ says, I would rather have some players that hit 300 with 10 home runs a lot more than players that hit 220 with 20 to 30 home runs. A lot to be said for that.
I agree with that.
Steve from Tuscaloosa, I had a feeling the Braves would have a challenging season when they didn't make a real effort in re-signing Max Fried. They faded towards the end of last season. No significant offseason moves to bolster the lineup. It looks like ownership spent more money buying real estate. I don't think Max Fried was ever going to be an option, just the amount of money that the Yankees were going to pay him. I'll defend the Braves. That's never been their MO in investing a lot of guaranteed money, long-term contract for a pitcher, because stuff that happened to Spencer Strider, others, that typically happens.
And I will,
Braves at least.
And I'll be the first person to raise my hand and acknowledge as a Yankees fan, when they signed Max Fried to that deal, I was scared. I was like, that's a lot of money for somebody that can be hit or miss at times. And granted, it's paid out very well so far this year, but there's still a lot of money and a lot of time left on that deal.
This one coming from the state of Tennessee. Thanks for listening. Did y'all see what Ryan Williams said about the 25 Alabama team? He said, we're going to kill ants with a sledgehammer. Do y'all like his confidence going into this year?
I've seen some of his comments. I missed the ants and a sledgehammer one, but
we burn them on this show, Ryan.
No, we punch the ant beds.
Well, that's what you do. Molly burns them.
I burn them.
And laughs maniacally. Yeah.
This is the same thing we heard last year. You hear it every year.
What exactly happened with the Florida coach when playing Coastal Carolina, Pat? I just added Pat. I wanted you to jump in. Kind of summarize that whole thing.
Kevin O'Sullivan's problem was the way that they had moved his game back. It was about a game time situation.
There's an hour difference? Was that it? Was that a quote that I saw? What's the difference an hour is going to make? Well, either way, if that was the case, an hour this way or an hour that way, why are you going to show your butt and drop 19 F-bombs in 47 seconds?
Not to mention the fact it's tournament baseball.
Right?
It's like, how many of the games actually start when they're scheduled to start?
I mean,
maybe half of them.
Now,
maybe?
I will say this, and I agree with Jason Caldwell 1,000%. He was on social media this weekend, and he was ridiculing the start times down at Auburn because you literally had Auburn playing at 8 o'clock. There was not any kind of weather situation. It was like, and I guess they do it to stagger it for a TV or for ESPN Plus, perhaps. But, that other game was over hours in advance. You had plenty of wiggle room. I mean, Auburn should have been playing a lot earlier than 8 o'clock.
Well, and let's be honest, they were on ESPN Plus anyways. I know people were bothered about that. So it's like, it's not like you're on primetime ESPN.
Q from Chilton County says, shout out to Prize Picks. I'm looking at his 6-pick power play. Woo! A $10 wager paid him $345. Appreciate our friends at Prize Picks. Thanks, Q. Glad you were a winner. This one rolls in. I wouldn't want my son to play for Kevin O'Sullivan or be a bat boy. Oh. Bad. Yeah, Google it yourselves, people. There's a history. O'Sullivan is what this listener in Alabama calls an arse hat. That's pretty funny. Got some Photoshop stuff coming in. Thank you for
Sankey
that.
or Sullivan?
On Greg Sankey.
Oh.
You want me to just read it to you?
Absolutely.
All right. Breaking. SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey has announced that the SEC will be breaking away from the NCAA effective for the 2028-2029 academic calendar year. This comes after months of speculation about the move. More to follow.
And who is that supposedly
At
from?
Derrico_Henryo. Derrick Henry.
I buy it.
Yes.
I think that's real.
Well, if it came from Derrick Henry.
He's a trustworthy guy.
Sure he is. Brant says, hey, guys, hope you're doing well. I wanted to see how y'all think Auburn will do this year. I'm excited. Think Coach Freeze will have us in the right direction. Thank you for what y'all do. God bless. God bless you. I would say that he probably needs to win at least 8 games. They got the best roster. Seemingly they have the best roster he's had since he's been there, not best roster in college football. Quarterback situation seems to be a lot better shape. Feels more comfortable about it. Schedule, challenging, it always is. You got to win the close games. Posey says, wreck the system, Pat. Vote both kickers.
I like it.
So include both of them.
Yeah.
Janikowski, FSU Daves tells us the only two-time Lou Groza Award winner, so that should prove difference on his candidacy. It was a different game when he played. And why are y'all kicking so many field goals? Mike asking, hey, Landrum, have you signed up for Masters tickets yet? Can't wait to get shut out for the 15th year in a row. Thank you, Mike and Trustful. I've not.
Yeah, I've done it now only 2 or 3 years. I've been shut out every year.
Really?
Yeah, I saw where Barrett, he posted, I guess he did the second it opened up, he went in there and fired his, tried to get
I
his
told you
tickets.
that was the most amount of money that I've ever paid on the ticket when I got the 2 Sunday badges, and that was back in 2000. It was before 2010. Anyways, I saw what the rate was. Now, you want to figure in inflation? Absolutely no way.
Mm-hmm.
No.
So is there any sort of, like, hey, you've been registered for Masters tickets for 10 straight
No.
years and you haven't gotten one, so now you're going to have increased odds?
No.
Mm-mm.
Nothing like
No,
that?
it's not a lottery.
It's
No.
just straight random.
Straight random.
Hmm.
Yep. Jerry from Hayden says Fran Foney probably won't get a single vote, and Scam Newton would get plenty of votes. Oh, come on now, Jerry. That's just his fashion sense. You don't have to wear it. He's comfortable wearing those clothes. I'm like you, wouldn't wear them for the most part. You got to be confident in who you are, comfortable in your own skin. And Crimson Convict says Peterson and Patterson picked a peck of Pat's preferences for participation for college football's pantheon.
Nice. I like that.
And then going back to me guessing where the coach, he said Landrum could not have been further off geographically on those coaches' locations. He said, I've never heard of any of them either, Landrum.
I haven't either.
Hey, how impressive was it that I knew that Austin was the Ruse? And the
Very
reason
much
I
so.
knew that is because they played Birmingham Southern
Oh,
football one year.
there you go.
Yeah, Austin College, not Boston College.
We will continue with your calls, your text messages. We'll talk a little Rickwood Classic coming up next hour. This is Jocks 94.5. It is 11:48, Jocks 94.5 on this Reaction Monday, 1-800-239-WJOX. Let's get to the phones. Let's take some calls here on this Reaction Monday. Hey, Chris. Good morning. How are you?
And going once? Going twice. Wow. Okay. Conrad, I don't know if he's there.
I'll check
Put him
on
on
him.
hold. He was there for a long time.
Is he on his other line with Damien
They're planning their outfits
for Sunday's game?
for Sunday's game.
I will say this. Based on what I saw in one of the end zones at the Liberty Bowl, a good amount of horsemen made the trip.
That's great.
Good.
Because I was actually a little bit surprised at the attendance numbers, which was over 4,500 fans there.
Mhm. Yeah.
So good for the horsemen.
I think they were the reason why there's probably about 2,000 plus people from Birmingham
Yeah.
that showed up. I mean, based on what I saw in the end zone. A
No,
lot of
man,
red.
there's red. Absolutely.
How many did we get Sunday? Protective.
I got to wait, check out my James Spann weather forecast for Sunday.
Yeah, I thought we were going to hit a little bit of a drier period, but according to the app that everybody else and their brother have on their phone, if you just go through the day by day, yeah.
A lot of rain coming.
Yes, there is. And Sunday. You know what? Things can change. Weather patterns can change. And this is the team that has had to battle the elements. We're weathered.
Well,
We're tested.
I think Birmingham will have a very good showing Sunday. I think a lot of people will show up.
Do the shirtless horsemen, do they paint their chest when it rains?
I don't know. You need to ask Damien or Chris. I'm not sure.
A lot of time, a lot of dedication with those guys painting each other.
Oh yeah, well it's the playoffs too, so they're gonna outdo themselves, of course.
Will Don actually be there? Because I know that his work schedule last few games is
Oh, I'm sure he'll figure it out.
he'll be there.
He'll be there signing autographs, I'm sure.
So the Braves are off tonight. They start a 3-game series with Arizona coming up on Tuesday. If you're keeping up with the Colorado Rockies, they lost yesterday 5-3 to the New York Mets.
Woo!
The Rockies are now 3-28 on the road. 3-28. It was their 8th straight loss. It's the 4th time this year that they've had at least an 8-game losing streak. The record is now 9-50. They're on pace for a record of 25-137.
This is one of my favorite stats I've seen in a long time yesterday. Since May the 2nd, the Rockies have won as many baseball games as Scotty Scheffler has golf tournaments.
Good night.
Oof.
Well, you know what? Their interim coach and their interim manager, I can't call his name, but he said, I saw a comment this morning. He said, we're playing better. He said, these guys in the clubhouse, that's good. Everybody's getting along, pulling for one another. He said, we just can't seem to get over the hump.
Let me ask you this. You play for the Colorado Rockies.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're playing in the major league circuit. So you know what? I mean, these guys aren't going to fret over this.
No.
Not to mention the fact you were picked dead last for the National League West anyway.
Yeah.
So what difference does it make if you finish with a 25-137 record
It
or
doesn't.
you finish at 70-92?
Yeah, people will remember this team.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Hey, you go on a speaking circuit after your career? Be like, let me tell you, I've seen hardships. I've seen tough times. But we put on our uniforms every single day.
It would be completely different if this was the Braves, a team that had all the likings of being a competitive team. But you're talking about the Rockies. They're always bad. Or bad on the road. They're, typically about a 500 team at home.
Yeah.
Just because the altitude.
I honestly don't know if outside of Chris Bryant, I don't know if I could name you a single person on the Rockies team right now, though. Like, they don't have anybody.
No.
Anybody.
Hence their 9-50 record.
Well, yes, Pat.
I like how they have 50
No,
losses.
I got
before
another
double-digit
guy.
wins.
Is it McMahon or McNamara?
Couldn't tell you.
That's a McMahon.
Sure.
McMahon.
Couldn't tell you.
McMahon.
Does Charlie Blackmon still play for them?
He retired.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yes.
He
yeah.
retired last year.
Couldn't
What
tell
about
you.
Vinny Castilla?
He's retired.
Is Todd Helton still there?
He's retired. Andres Galarraga.
Troy Tulowitzki.
He is retired.
Dante Bichette.
He's retired. His boys plays though.
Yeah.
Not for the Rockies.
Didn't Matt Holliday play for the Rockies for a little bit?
Most certainly did.
That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, they could rake. You had Ellis Burks,
They had
Eric Young.
Everybody could rake.
Carlos
playing in that
Gonzalez. He was
ballpark.
good for a couple years.
Larry Walker.
Yeah. Very good one.
Walt Weiss.
Walt Weiss. Charlie, third baseman.
No clue. Chase Headley?
No.
Charlie Hayes.
Yeah.
That's who you're thinking of, right?
He played there.
Mm-hmm.
Who was their closer? Back in the time period we're talking about with some of these guys. It doesn't matter.
Couldn't tell you. Could not
Going down
tell
the
you.
rabbit hole.
It
of the,
really doesn't
Colorado
matter.
Rockies.
Golly.
The
It
15
doesn't
players
matter.
in history that we all know.
Yes. What does matter is they were 9-50.
9-50. That's right.
They're on pace to go 24 and 138, probably.
25, 137.
Okay.
You're cutting them off a win there, Molly.
Hey, 25, that's a nice round
That
number
is.
to end on.
Sure is.
That'd be easy though for their video and their social media people.
Mm-hmm.
The year-end banquet,
Yeah.
putting together a highlight video.
I don't even think you have an year-end banquet for
Oh,
the
you do.
season.
Yes. Hey, you're in Coors. You
rings.
have banquet beer for the banquet.
There you go. Do you get rings made? Or maybe diamond encrusted like brown paper bags that the fans will wear?
It also looks like Major League Baseball is going to kick the can down the road for the ABS challenge system for balls and strikes. Looks like now it's going to be 2027.
That's fine. Maybe the Braves will be good again. Balls and strikes aren't going to matter right now. 2 hours in the books. 2 hours remaining. Jonathan Nelson in the next hour. Continue with your texts. Love your interactions. 3 Men Front on a Monday. We are Jocks 94.5.
It is 12 o'clock. Welcome in on this Reaction Monday. This is Three-Man Front on Jocks 94.5. Pat Landrum, Conrad, Molly, the whole gang. Don't forget, we'll be at Social Taco tomorrow from 10 until 2 o'clock. Come on by and see us. Should be a beautiful day for you to take an extended lunch and hang out with us as we are there each and every Taco Tuesday. Auburn baseball, they advanced to their 5th Super Regional as they hit 351 over the weekend. They went undefeated. They outscored their opponents 28-11 as the Auburn Tigers will now take on Coastal Carolina, the Chanticleers. They've won 21 games in a row. They won their regional. So this weekend at Auburn, it was record attendance at Plainsman Park over the weekend. The enhancements and the improvements there at Plainsman Park just through the roof. One of the best venues in all of college baseball. Over 22,000 in attendance over the weekend watching Auburn play. So I imagine it's going to be a full house again this weekend. Butch Thompson, who has taken the Auburn Tigers to the College World Series. This is what he had to say after his Auburn Tigers went 3-0.
Thankful for, being able to get through this tough regional. That was a grind for us. But I thought, everybody that worked hard to make this happen, from the NCAA to, a ground crew, the 3 teams were amazing here, meaning their head coaches, first class, the players. It's not every regional that you get an opportunity to play each and every team, and we did. And I hold Elliot Avant in the highest regard. Steve Trimper's been a friend for a long time. First time we got to play on the field, and even Central Connecticut, man, those guys were so scrappy, and their players left it all on the field. It was amazing. So, never hosted a super regional before. Pretty excited about that. And I thought our guys didn't maybe not play perfect for 3 games, but I don't think we trailed in this regional and they fought pretty hard. They were pretty connected and played a pretty solid 3 days for us.
Isn't that amazing to think that Auburn and hosting the Super Regional, isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Of all the success that Auburn's had, and this is an opportunity for them to host that Super Regional, it's hasn't happened a lot.
Did you notice, and I'm not.
First ever.
I just thought it was interesting. We were talking about Kevin O'Sullivan and him ripping everyone in his diatribe.
But Butch Thompson
went out of his way to talk about the ground crew,
yep,
the class of the other coaches, the NCAA, and everybody who made it all work.
A little bit different in Conway, South Carolina.
Yeah, just a tad.
Just a little bit. Unfortunately for Conrad, his Alabama baseball team, they took it on the chin. They went 0-2 in Hattiesburg. Their season comes to a close. Alabama's now lost 6 consecutive tournament games. So the Tide finished the year with 41 wins, most victories in a season since the Tide managed 43 wins back in 2023. Well, the SEC got 13 teams in the NCAA baseball tournament. They had the top overall seeds, number 1, Vanderbilt, number 2, Texas. Vandy had their hands full. They barely took care of Wright State first day of the tournament and had a rough weekend there in Nash Vegas, and they were playing Wright State again, and this is the way it sounded on ESPN.
Breaking ball swung on, lifted into right field. There is Gilkerson. He's got it, and Wright State has done it. They have knocked off the number 1 national seed on Vanderbilt's home field.
Just shocking. Just shocking to see them play like they did on Friday, being no hit up until, I think, the 6th inning.
Yep.
When they hit the home run.
Mm-hmm.
And so Vanderbilt becomes the first number 1 national seed not to reach the regional final and the 4th top seed to miss the super regional round. Well, it didn't end there. 5 hours later in Austin, Texas, of all places, the SEC's regular season champion, the Texas Longhorns, up against their extension center, UTSA.
Swing and a miss. Pack your bags, Road Runners. You're headed to the Supers.
So there you have it. Nice and short and sweet.
Hey.
As UTSA, they knock off the Longhorns 7-4, and that was the second time this weekend that they knocked off UT Austin.
That's an example of play-by-play guy being just as surprised as everyone else that they won.
And probably had a producer in his ear yelling, just shut up or turn your mics off. Just let the video speak for itself.
Let it breathe.
Yeah. I mentioned this in hour number 1. According to the school's latest NCAA financial disclosures, the University of Texas San Antonio reported a $1.73 million in total operating expenses for their baseball program. Texas, by contrast, spent $6.35 million on baseball. Over 5 times more money spent on the University of Texas baseball program than the Roadrunners.
Nah. Something tells me that won't change. They could increase the gap.
I was about to say, I feel like their answer to this is we need to put more money into this program.
Double it.
Well, and we did hear, I guess some reports have come out that maybe Texas football isn't at 40 million in NIL. It's maybe only in like 30s. So
you take that extra 10.
Yeah, so they'll take that, put it over to Schlossnagel, and they'll be good to go.
Yeah. Number 7, Georgia, a national seed. They lost in Athens. Oklahoma State third baseman Brock Thompson hit a walk-off home run to eliminate the Bulldogs. That was an entertaining game. We mentioned Bama losing in Hattiesburg. Mississippi State, they lost in Tallahassee. Florida in Conway, South Carolina. Kentucky, they lost in the Clemson Regional. They did knock off Clemson before they were eliminated. So SEC national seeds Arkansas and Auburn went undefeated in their regionals. So those two programs are headed to the Super Regionals. 3 other SEC number 1 seeds' fates will be decided today when they play Game 7 of their respective regionals and fight it out to keep their seasons alive. A loss by any of the following teams, and their season will be over with. It starts at 2 o'clock, in which number 5 North Carolina is hosting Oklahoma. Oklahoma beat the Tar Heels yesterday 9-5. So Oklahoma trying to punch their ticket.
Do you consider Oklahoma State, going back to them, a blue blood of college baseball? I do.
They're up there. Maybe not quite in my mind, but yeah, they've had some Robin Ventura.
Incavilla played there?
Yep.
Pete Incavilla?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He just murdered baseball.
Yeah. Very good. Corvallis Regional, you will have number 8 Oregon State versus Southern Cal. That's a 5 o'clock first pitch. Oxford Regional, you'll have number 10 Ole Miss taking on Murray State. That's a 5 o'clock first pitch. Ole Miss won 10-8 on Sunday against Murray. Number 14 Tennessee, they're going to take on Wake Forest. Now, this is a very interesting matchup because yesterday Wake Forest won 7-6 on a walk-off walk. Bases loaded, Tennessee's bullpen walks in the winning run because Wake was the home team.
Just because you throw 100, you got to throw them for strikes.
Got to pitch. Number 6 LSU, they're going to take on University of Arkansas Little Rock. That is an 8 o'clock first pitch tonight. LSU is a 5.5 run favorite. They were a 7.5 run favorite yesterday, and they lost.
That's my luck of the night tonight, LSU.
LSU? You like the 5.5?
They might score 20 runs.
Okay. Little Rock won yesterday 10-4.
I was about to say, and Little Rock is, I think, like 8 games under 500 for the season. I mean, they are a bad baseball team.
Hence the reason they were a 7.5 run underdog.
Mm-hmm. But it's baseball.
Could they beat the Colorado Rockies?
Sure.
Are you saying Little Rock or LSU?
Oh, Little Rock.
Oh.
LSU.
Well, we know they can beat LSU, obviously.
Well, they can.
And so the final game tonight, it will also be at 8 o'clock. It's number 16 Southern Miss. They'll take on Bama haters Miami Hurricanes. So Miami could punch their ticket and move along.
I got plenty of stuff to watch.
Plenty. So
plenty of college baseball.
No Braves in action tonight. Yeah. Cardinals are off tonight. So
I will be listening to the Braves from here on out. I think I get less frustrated just listening.
There is some news over in Starkville, Mississippi. Virginia head baseball coach Brian O'Connor, he's expected to be named the Mississippi State head coach. O'Connor becomes the 19th head coach, full-time or interim, of the Bulldog baseball program, and he'll be the first to take the job with a College World Series championship on his resume. He won the 2015 National Championship at the University of Virginia. He just wrapped up his 22nd season in Charlottesville. The Cavaliers ended the year 32-18, 16-11 the ACC. O'Connor's record with Virginia baseball is 923 wins, 388 losses, and 2 ties.
Yeah, it's not bad.
He ranks third amongst all active college coaches in winning percentage. He's a 3-time National Coach of the Year, and he was named the ABCA Hall of Fame in 2024. So he's a Hall of Fame coach.
How old is he?
Won a national championship, and he's got the 3rd highest winning percentage of all college baseball coaches. And Pete Nakos is reporting that it appears that he will be one of the highest paid coaches in all of college baseball, which we had talked about a couple weeks ago, that Mississippi State, they were willing to make their next head coach a top 10 in salary.
And I think they also have stated that they are increasing the NIL resources that will be available to the program as well. So
I would imagine before Mr. O'Connor decided to move his family from Charlottesville, Virginia to Starkville, Mississippi, I think there were probably a couple of boxes that Mississippi State needed to check.
Yep, I would think so.
O'Connor's only mid-50s.
900, almost 1,000 wins.
Well, that's what blew my mind is, I mean, he took over that program when he was 32, 33.
Yeah, 20. He's been there. He was there 22 years.
Yeah.
I think that's a big get for them.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah, and you know that you're going to have the resources you need allocated. You're used to having success, and I don't know how challenged they are with their baseball program. Have they been with NIL? But Mississippi State folks, they're hungry. They're ready. That's a really good get. And just the list and the roster of coaches in the SEC. No matter the sport, continues to grow. Everybody wants to be here. I don't know why.
So you had a growing trend over the weekend. We played you the audio earlier of Coastal Carolina's Kevin Schnall, who went out of his way to bring up Kevin O'Sullivan and the way that Kevin O'Sullivan treated those on the site in Conway, South Carolina. Well, Chris Pollard, he is the Duke head baseball coach. He was irritated at the Athens Regional, which his team won, by the way. So take a listen to what Coach Pollard had to say about an interesting incident that took place that now one of his top players will not be available in the Super Regional.
A.J. Gracia, who's one of the best players in college baseball, hit a home run earlier in the inning to put us within 1 run. We have a celebration in our dugout where we give the construction helmet to the player that makes a big play. It's a symbol of our blue-collar culture, and it's something that we rally around, and it gets our guys excited and creates energy. AJ was wearing the helmet because he had just hit the home run. Later in the inning, Sam Harris hits a single. We score from first on a single to take the lead in the championship game of a regional to go to a super regional. Our guys are undoubtedly excited, and they should be. And they jump out of the dugout to high-five their teammates as they're running back over to the dugout. AJ still had the helmet on from where he had hit the home run and celebrated. He took 2 steps out of our dugout, not to show anybody up, not to be disrespectful of the game, not to disrespect Oklahoma State, to cheer on his teammate and give him high fives. This rule and this type of action by the umpire are why people get so frustrated with the NCAA. I'm disappointed for A.J. Gracia that he won't play in one of the biggest games of his life when we start the Super Regional. I'm disappointed for Duke baseball, and I'm disappointed for college baseball. And I want to get that off my chest. And if I get fined, I get fined. But we deserve better than that. A.J. Gracia deserves better than that. Our sport deserves better than that.
I think the follow-up being suspended for the next game, that's where you would like to get more clarity on why. Did he go and charge the mound? Did he incite a fight? Did he swing? Did he throw a punch? No. And this is nitpicking just a little bit. But if I remember when Nate Oates, he talked about a lunch pail when he came and having it's a hard hat, not a construction helmet. Please do not say construction helmet. It's a dead giveaway that you've never worn one. That's it for that. But I agree with a lot of what he said. But that's umpire's discretion, right?
Yeah,
that was not letter of the law NCAA telling umpire you've got to do that. Umpire could have let that go if he wanted to.
It seems like that a lot of other regionals, they let a lot of other stuff go. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Yeah,
telling you,
you had some calls like in that Oregon game. That was one of the worst calls I've ever seen on the catcher's interference.
yeah,
Like,
that was bad.
So Auburn's dugout celebration that I noticed, their players hang from the top of the dugout, and then as guy that scores comes down, they drop.
there's no place for that in the game of baseball.
Well, it's in the dugout.
No place.
You can do whatever you want to.
You can do whatever you want to in the dugout. That's what I said. If you want to have costume parties, you want to play dress up.
So when the
do
Dodgers
whatever you want.
when the Dodgers beat the Yankees 18-2 on Saturday night, how many times did the Dodgers run out of the dugout? And
None.
Who had the
That's
last
what I
laugh
thought.
though, Conrad?
Them, because they still won. We won yesterday, but they won the series.
Well, the last laugh. The collective laugh was them, but you had the last laugh.
hey, at least Aaron Judge showed up Saturday night.
That's right. It was the Dodgers 18 and Aaron Judge 2, and the Yankees were 0, but Aaron Judge did everything he could.
When does this get happen?
I don't know. Things were going too well.
Have you mapped out your summer
Things were going too well.
to plan for the skid?
It's either going to happen here in the next 3 to 4 weeks, or it's going to happen right out of the All-Star break, which would be great news for your Atlanta Bravos. So it's going to be one of those two every year.
Why would that be great news?
Because the Braves will sweep them in Atlanta.
No.
And then I'll be sad.
Not this Braves
You'll
team.
be happy.
No. Mm-mm.
We'll see, but now I have to look at it like, hey, even if the Yankees are going to the World Series, great. Well, if they played the Dodgers, we're going to get swept, so it doesn't matter. Got to find a way to beat
Pat,
those
who
guys.
would be? I was asking who would be a good hire for the Braves when Snitker, wink wink, says that he doesn't want to manage anymore and he's ready for retirement and grandkids.
Aaron Boone.
No.
Who do they currently have down in Gwinnett?
Half of our second half roster, probably. Let's see.
I was just curious if they had somebody in the organization, because Snitker was a lifelong. Or do you go outside the organization?
Kennecoa Teixeira.
Okay.
Any kin to Mark? Maybe.
Possibly.
Darno is a guy that I saw just on. We were driving back and some Major League Baseball rumor or whatever boards that Darno's future could be as a manager. What about Ron Washington? He's in the final year of his contract with the Angels.
Bud Black's available.
No, thank you. No more suggestions from you. I'm asking Pat. This is a serious question.
What if we give you Aaron Boone and Giancarlo Stanton together? Can we work something out there?
Do you bring back Freddie Gonzalez?
You change Boone into Judge, and then we'll talk.
Then you'll talk
Yeah,
about
we'll have
it,
that
yeah.
conversation.
You can hire Brett Boone.
Yeah?
He's one of the hitting coaches for the Texas Rangers.
There you go.
He played for us. Was it Brett? Yeah, it was Brett. That
Where's
played for
Glenn
us.
Hubbard? How about Biff Pocoroba? Do you remember Biff?
No.
Biff was a catcher for the Braves.
We were going through the Braves and the different countries that they've had players represented through their wall of honor and that area there in the concourse. German player. Do you remember the famous German player that played for the Braves organization? I'm trying to remember if it was Atlanta or if it would have been Milwaukee. Pretzels Geiken.
Oh, wow. I don't remember Pretzels.
His name was Pretzels?
His name was Pretzels.
That's awesome.
Was that his birth name or his nickname?
No, I think that was his.
I like to think it's short for something.
Gates. How did they spell it? I'm just going to go Pretzels Braves. There's no way that this comes up where it's.
And he's going to get a menu for Chop House.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I got.
See?
Let's see. Pretzels Gateson. Charles H. Pretzels Gates.
He played for Detroit, too. I found him.
Dang. He was born in Germany.
So was Charles.
I told you it was short for something.
Yeah. I wanted to get
I like pretzels.
But that is if it was his last name was Pretzels, that'd be great. Just put it on the back.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody we were walking through, and I don't know what station they were from. The guy was like, well, he couldn't cut the mustard. And then, but this continued
for the whole
10
time.
minutes. I was like, babe, come on. We got to
move
We got to move
on.
to the front. Can't hear any more of this one.
Well, you need to do something about that tree before it falls on your house. Call Golston Tree Service, 205-337-4443. Golston Tree Service can handle little jobs like trimming hedges or shaping trees to hazardous jobs like line clearance and big jobs like complete tree removal with cranes, grinding the stump and roots out and hauling off to the last twig. They also offer 24-hour emergency storm work service, 205-337-4443. That is Golston Tree Service.
Yes, he was not part of the Atlanta era. He was born in 1864 there in Germany. Pretzels, we miss you. 3-man front, Josh 94.5.
In about 10 minutes, we'll talk to the general manager of the Birmingham Barons, Jonathan Nelson, as the Rickwood game at Rickwood Field this week as the Huntsville Trash Pandas will take on our Birmingham Barons. That's coming up Wednesday. And we'll have an opportunity Wednesday morning. We'll interview Jim Cott, a little Q&A there at Regions Field. So that should be a lot of fun as we have a lot of activities going on coming up.
Yeah, we were just going through putting together our 3-man front hot board for managerial replacements for Brian Snitker. You brought up a good one, Pat and Mark DeRosa, David Ross, played with the Braves, played at Auburn. That would be a good tie-in. And what was the other one that I heard from you, Conrad?
Joe Girardi.
Joe Girardi. We got to
Great
meet him
manager.
at the Army-Navy game. We went up there as a show and hated the fact that he was going to be managing for the Phillies. But Joe Girardi would be a really good one. I like that.
Big fan of him. Had to get rid of him because he wasn't. He was not soft enough apparently. So
No. Yeah. We need the opposite of soft right now. How about Mandu in downtown Homewood? You can check it out. Electrical muscle stimulation fitness. Mandu, in layman's terms, they put you into a suit. And all of this technology that's been FDA approved. It doesn't hurt, but it's going to make you feel better. They hook you up to a machine that sends electric pulses to various parts of your body. If you're trying to get bathing suit ready for the summertime, well, you can do that. If you want to focus on the glutes, you want to focus on your calves, maybe your thighs, arms, chest, whatever, you get the picture. All age groups, men, women, if you've been in a gym, you just want to tweak some certain things about your body, or you haven't been in a gym in forever, there's all kinds of different levels that you can choose from. It's Mandu in downtown Homewood. Tell Paul and the gang that Landrum from Three Man Front sent you. Your first visit is going to be free. MANDUU.com to learn more. Mandu, we appreciate them.
So last hour we were talking about how bad the Colorado Rockies are, and we are kind of joking around about, I said maybe the end of the year banquet, maybe they'll skip that, or put their record on a ring or something like that. Well, did you see what Georgia Tech did? So Georgia Tech football, last year they completed back-to-back winning seasons for the first time since 2014. The team also had back-to-back bowl appearances for the first time since then. So to honor the historic season, Brent Key's program gave out rings to the team. So if you're keeping score at home, the Yellow Jackets went 7-6. They included a perfect 5-0 home record at Bobby Dodd Stadium. The program hadn't accomplished that since 1999, since Brent Key played there for Georgia Tech. The perfect home record included a win over number 4 Miami. And on the ring, you can see the final score of that game against Miami etched inside the ring, along with Georgia Tech's win over Florida State to open the season in Ireland. Now, Georgia Tech, as we all remember, they finished the season here in Birmingham at the Birmingham Bowl, in which they lost to Diego Pavia and the Vanderbilt Commodores. So what do you guys think? 7-6, is that worthy of a ring?
Nope.
No.
Say no, but.
And I like Coach Key. I think he's done a great job there. Maybe a little early.
Did Alabama give out rings for 9 and 4?
No, they did not.
Well, I do think.
But they beat LSU.
It's a little bit different.
They beat Auburn.
It's a little bit different for Alabama than it is Georgia Tech, let's be honest. It's a lot different. I wouldn't have done it, but I don't have a major issue with it. We were just talking about the Little League teams, the travel ball. They all get rings.
Did Vanderbilt make rings for this season?
Maybe that's your way with saying, hey, we don't have enough NIL.
I was just thinking, all right, so who paid for the rings? And couldn't the money that you paid for the rings go to NIL and just give them a cash bonus for going 7-6?
How upset would you
All
be?
right, kids, you want a left tackle or you want rings? I don't know, Coach. Kind of want the ring.
So they go 5-0 at home. They play that up on the ring, and inside they have the score of the game in which they beat number 4 Miami.
I like how they have the Birmingham Bowl logo on it too.
Heck yeah.
But they lost.
But they lost.
Oh. That was. Well, but they didn't have a lot of their players. I'm trying, Coach. I'm trying.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. But can't you just imagine you're waiting to hear back from the collective? Like, hey, are they going to re-up my deal? No. But
we got this wonderful parting gift for you. Here's a ring.
Our friends at Jostens have agreed to
7-6 record.
Come up with some rings that we've designed.
Unbelievable.
Oh.
Coming up next on Three Man Front, the general manager of the Birmingham Barons is going to join us as Jonathan Nelson will tell us all about the activities going on this week as the Rickwood game at Rickwood Field. That's next. Welcome back to the three-man front on this Reaction Monday. It's a very special week here in the Magic City. Always is when the Birmingham Barons are in town, and it has a little extra special meeting this week as the Rickwood game between the Trash Pandas and the Birmingham Barons will take place on Wednesday. And joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline, good friend of the program, the general manager of the Birmingham Barons, Mr. Jonathan Nelson, joins us now on Three-Man Front. Nelly, hope you're doing well, and man, the weather looks great for Wednesday.
I'm doing spectacular. When the sun's out, you got Rickwood on the horizon and a good 6-game series right in front of you, and the weather is looking good. And you're in first place. It's all lined up to be good. So yeah, I mean it should be a really fun week for Barons baseball, both at Regents Field and at Rickwood Field as well.
How much can you tell just from, I guess, gate receipts, turnstile, energy around the club? We know there's a lot of energy, but especially when school gets out, graduations are kind of in the rearview mirror. How does that change for you on a daily basis?
Well, it dials it up. I mean, there's a natural internal clock to where once school gets out and sort of everybody, does the SEC baseball tournament, goes to the beach for their first weekend of summer and then come back and start to settle into summer camps and all the other things that, travel baseball and all that. People, obviously want to be outside, whether it be walk across the street to Railroad Park or a variety of different great amenities around the Magic City, but certainly Regents Field, Barons baseball, and of course, when we do host a game at Rickwood Field, that's always going to be part of the menu as well. So it's always part of the special sort of lifestyle here in the Magic City, both in the spring and summertime, but it certainly ratchets it up a notch or two once you get to the summertime and there's no school hours where people have to sort of navigate around.
All right, so this Wednesday, June the 4th, it's the Rickwood game. It's a salute to legendary Birmingham Black Barons in the Negro Leagues. It will be Birmingham taking on the Huntsville Stars, and we interviewed Jim Cott last week, just a first-class individual. He is going to be the special guest. Gates are going to open up at 11 a.m. Pre-game ceremonies begin at noon. First pitch is at 12:30. I know I've kind of hit some of the highlights, but for folks wanting to attend this game, give them an idea how they can get their tickets today and just anything else surrounding the game that you would like to get out there.
Yeah, it's always special. We started the Rickwood Classic is when we first started in 1996, and it's always been special. And over the years, obviously we always want to celebrate and honor different affiliations that we've had with major league teams over the years, or different teams or players or what have you. But this year, once again, this is the first time we're doing a game. Last year's game when we played Montgomery there, it was really under the umbrella of Major League Baseball, whereas this time it's reverting back to us. Last time we did this was 2019. So it's our game, Rocket City, as you mentioned, very special for us. We're going to be honoring and saluting the Negro Leagues once again, obviously the Birmingham Black Barons. The gates open, as you mentioned, 11 o'clock a.m. First pitch is going to be at 12:30. Part of the ambiance of what the Rickwood game has always been is not only to enjoy Barons baseball and the sport of baseball in the truest sense, without all the bells and whistles of exploding scoreboards and modern music and busy bat races and all those things, but to enjoy baseball in the purest sense with vintage uniforms, a hand-operated scoreboard, America's oldest ballpark, and to meet a great celebrity, a baseball celebrity like a Jim Cott. I heard the interview last week. We talked about it last week, and obviously he is a first-class guy. I'm thrilled that he's going to be able to be here. He played at Rickwood, as he mentioned in that interview, for Chattanooga when he was en route to the big leagues with the Twins organization. But it's always going to be special. But he's going to be somebody who I know that fans are going to be able to really enjoy meeting, getting an autograph, and just interacting with. But it's always special to turn back the clock and go back to America's oldest ballpark for our organization and for the game of baseball as well. I know Major League Baseball is going to have several people in town because they want to see how our operation works this Wednesday when we host the game.
Jonathan, I know that there has been a ton of great memories from that Rickwood Classic that was installed, as you mentioned, but is there one particular moment that sticks out to you over the past? Because there's been so many great moments.
There's so many great moments. I love, we've had so many great guests, whether it be Darryl Strawberry, Doc Gooden, Fergie Jenkins, Harmon Killebrew, Dale Murphy, so many over the years. To me, the most satisfaction, this one was a heavy lift because of the absence of the time that we've hosted a game there and some restructuring of what the overall dynamics of the partnership is. Our partners, the Friends of Rickwood, have always are great. You have Mike on all the time, and I know Gerald you've had on as well. And so they've been a tremendous partner since day one in 1996 since we did this. But my biggest takeaway always is the satisfaction of being able to really bring something special to Barons fans, to baseball fans, and to see so many different generations of baseball fans connect. You see grandmothers, grandfathers with, different different, generations of their family being able to enjoy America's pastime at America's oldest ballpark. And to me, to be able to meet folks, to sort of, visit with folks and really see how much they're enjoying the game, the overall experience. That's my biggest takeaway every year. It never gets old. And it's going to be even more special since the last time we did it was 2019, as mentioned.
All right, I have to ask this because we have been getting some folks text us this, and I want to go straight to the source to ask you. For those that are attending the Rickwood game on Wednesday, is there areas for parking? Because obviously for the Major League game and for the game last year in which you played the Montgomery Biscuits, you had to get on a shuttle. What is the parking situation around Rickwood Field for the game on Wednesday?
Yeah, I mean, clearly last year was so different with Major League Baseball and their shuttle system. And what we did for all those years from 96 to 2019, we did the best we could with the on-site parking there. So people can park on-site there. They're not going to go to Legion Field and be shuttled. There's no shuttle service that I'm aware of that will take you to Rickwood Field. But we will have a variety of parking options. Now, we are selling parking in advance, so if they go to Barons.com for whether it be ticket information, a variety of game information, but also they can pre-order parking as well, and we're doing that. So there's a variety of parking lots surrounding Rickwood Field that would make it convenient to attend the game.
All right, so outside of the game on Wednesday, you mentioned a 6-game homestand. Talk a little bit about what else the fans, if they can't get out there on Wednesday, for the 12:30 first pitch against the Trash Pandas. What else is coming up there at Regions Field in downtown?
Yeah, absolutely. We lead off tomorrow night with a unique, because our game is at 12:30 on Wednesday. We lead off with a 6 o'clock game once again tomorrow night on Tuesday. So it's a great way to start the homestand. And then, of course, right after we finish Rickwood, we'll continue with Thursday, Pride Night as well. Friday night will be Friday night fireworks. Looking forward to that. We're doing a bobblehead, a salute to the Black Barons as well. So we'll have a special Birmingham Black Barons bobblehead will be given away to the first 1,000 adults. Saturday is Los Barons Night, our connection with the Hispanic community here in Birmingham. And then we'll cap it off Sunday with another Family Sunday, which is always a lot of fun. I told Conrad before, we're trying to work out some details with a state college football team. They might be having some players from close proximity come to and attend the game and give out autographs, all that kind of stuff. But we're trying to work out those details. Hopefully we'll be able to announce that in due time. But it should be something noteworthy that people would want to pay attention to, and I think people get excited about. But regardless, we're in first place. It's going to be a really fun homestand, and I'm really excited to see a lot of folks both here at Regions Field and Rickwood Field this week.
Nelly, on a personal note, I'm struggling as a big fan of the Atlanta Braves, and we're not very good this year. And I've really lowered my expectations. Well, the 0-7 start, that kind of helped that. But now I'm kind of resigned to the point that it's just it's no good. Do you have any advice? Not an indictment on any past teams that you might have followed or watched closely, but do you have any advice for a fan like me that has a dreadful team that they pull for?
No disrespect, Landrum, but you're talking to a White Sox fan on the heels of a historically bad season in 2024. So my sympathy meter is not all the way to the top. But it's one of those where I know the Braves, they obviously have a great organization. They develop players, among the best organizations, obviously, in Major League Baseball. And if there's going to be a little bit of herky-jerky play this year, there's no doubt they'll right the ship. And in due time, whether it be 25 or 26, they'll be back in the playoff hunt. So I think you're in good shape.
How much could a change at the manager position, not specific to the Braves, but when you're not seeing a whole lot of energy, a whole lot of spark around that ball club and hearing accounts of things aren't great in the clubhouse, how much can a manager make a difference in that regard in your experience?
Oh, you've seen it so many times over the years. I mean, back in the 80s, just one reference point is Joe Morgan and the Boston Red Sox when they went on that run back in the late 80s. It can make a significant, it's either going to go north or south. And a lot of times it'll sort of be a rallying cry, and like the Red Sox did that one year. But I think Snitker's a great manager. I mean, my first few years here in this league, he was managing, Mississippi when he had Jeff Francoeur and McCann. But I think he's a fabulous manager, and obviously he's got a world championship under his belt. But yeah, I mean, those things can make a dramatic difference, especially early on in the season. And you'd like to think that, a team like the Orioles, who struggled mightily out of the gate, could right the ship. They certainly have the pieces to do it, but I don't think the Rockies can.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's bad.
Whoa. What kind of promotion are you running there as a GM?
Where?
If you were just the GM of the Rockies, you got a 9-50 club. What kind of special promotions you putting on?
Every day that ended with Y would be Thursday.
Yeah, very much so.
If there's a place you could do it, you could certainly do it there. Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, I was going to ask you over the weekend, your White Sox was in the wonderful town of Baltimore playing the Orioles. What the heck was Kobe Mayo doing with that rundown? Yeah. Do you remember what I'm talking about? Like, what in the world?
Yeah, I don't know. I was hopeful that series, especially since the Orioles, and by the way, Brandon Hyde, the former Orioles manager, was a Baron, a backup catcher for the Barons back in the day.
Yeah.
I was hopeful that series would continue a nice positive progression for the White Sox as they played over the last month, but obviously a step back in a variety of different ways, like you're referencing. But today's a new day. This is a new week, and hopefully, the White Sox can right the ship and get back in order. But just certainly a step back against a team that's been struggling mightily all season long.
Just watching that clip of Mayo, man, I was just in that rundown. It's like, what are you doing? I mean,
there's been a few of those clips this season. There was one game against the Royals a few weeks ago, a very similar frustrating experience. So
wow. Well, the good news is that the Barons are in town for a 6-game homestand, and we've got the Rickwood game coming up on Wednesday. Looking forward to having some time on Wednesday morning at breakfast with Jim Cott. That's coming up as well. So, as always, Nelly, we appreciate your time, and it should be a lot of fun this week.
Look forward to seeing y'all and appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thanks. That's Jonathan Nelson, who is the general manager of the Birmingham Barons. For more information about the Rickwood game coming up on Wednesday, you can go to barons.com.
I wanted to ask him about Chase Meidroth, but he never did. He ever play here in Birmingham? I don't know if he ever did. That would have been a great question about 10 seconds ago. We continue 3-man front and Jocks 94.5.
Great conversation with Jonathan Nelson, Birmingham Barons general manager. For more information about this weekend's homestand, including Wednesday's Rickwood game against the Trash Pandas, go to barons.com. To the phones we go, 1-800-239-WJOX. Let's go to Miles, who joins the program, listening on the Jocks 94.5 app. Hey, Miles.
Good afternoon, all. Y'all, I kind of want to brag a little bit. I was on time for my dentist appointment today. Can we arrange for me to get a ring?
Yes.
That'd be nice.
Or a crown. Uh-huh.
Wow.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably end up having to have one of those. Well, maybe I don't get a ring. He did find one cavity. Y'all, let me ask your opinion on this. RPI, it's been utilized in basketball. Of course, now they have a modified version in the net ranking. We see RPI in baseball. Would an RPI of some form be good for football?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, why don't you just take the data that the 20 data points when it comes to the strength of schedule that you wouldn't let anybody in the public see, just use that and combine that with the Massey rankings
I want the
and
quads.
everything else.
I want what we use for college basketball.
The quad one win?
Yeah.
Let me ask y'all this. Next question. This conference to conference, and we want this format and we want that format has become, there's so much posturing and so much of a political nature with it. Sometimes I think I'm watching Fox or CNN instead of. Would it be the worst thing in the world if finally everybody decides, hey, we can't agree. We're each going to do our own thing. We can have some non-conference games, but, our SEC, we're going to do our own playoff. Big Ten, you can do your own playoff. Big 12 and ACC, do what you want.
The problem with that is the current contract that has been signed with ESPN, the billions of dollars that they have forked out for the college football playoff from 2026 and beyond, I think till 2032. I think that's the length of the contract. I think that would be the issue with that. Listen, with all the grandstanding going on, Miles, I think you and I both know what's going to happen is they're going to have a conference call tomorrow morning, the 4 Power 4 conference commissioners, and then this is setting the tone for the June 18th meeting in front of the College Football Playoff Executive Committee. And there's going to be some hand-wringing, there's going to be some posturing, but I think when it's all said and done on June 18th, I think everyone's going to realize that whatever plan that they need to adopt it. The SEC needs to do something and do it quickly, whether they stay at 8 or move on to 9. The SEC does not have a football schedule after this season, and that probably makes the people at ESPN quite nervous because working for that company for the time that I worked for them, they like to have things in the pipeline. They like to have things on the spreadsheet, and they like to know what's going on and where they're going to have crews and this and that. And by them not having a schedule announced for the SEC, that's problematic. So I really do believe that this is going to get done probably this month.
That's good to hear. And thinking about it, put the two questions together, if there was an RPI, that would favor the SEC so much that it might be an advantage to go to non-conference games.
Maybe so.
Because, Oh, and last thing, Pat, a few months ago, y'all were talking about you kind of spilled the beans a little bit that you and Paul got in trouble with the suits at ESPN before.
Yes.
You didn't say why, but I think I can guess.
Okay.
Did it have to do with an event on draft night?
No.
NFL.
No,
Okay.
and
Okay.
it did not. It did have to do with I will give you this. It had to do with during the time, it was a current student athlete in the Southeastern Conference that played on a football team. And we were very critical of his opening night, let's just say, effort. And that caused a great deal of concern amongst those around the league and ESPN because of and let me just tell you, of all the things that we have done in our career, this was one of the most tame things that we had ever done. And as soon as the show ended, we were about 24 to 48 hours. We were kind of sweating it out. It was very, very odd, the whole situation, but it all got taken care of.
Okay. Well, good. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm
Obviously, Paul's still there. I'm not there anymore, but Paul has had an outstanding career there at the worldwide leader. But yeah, we were there about a week or so, and it was like really like one of the first things that I looked at Paul and I said, "Really?" I said, "We're getting in trouble for that? All the things that we did in our career, all the lawsuits that we had to endure, all the boycotts from sponsors, all the kind of stuff, and now we're going to lose our job over this? You got to be kidding me." But no, I got all straightened out.
Please write a book about the lawsuits. Please write a book about the lawsuits.
Well, you can go. It's one of the lawsuits is Alabama case law right now in the Alabama Supreme Court. You can go.
I can only guess, Miles. You were speculating about something that happened in the draft, and them. Yeah, I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, I'll give you initials MF.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we didn't get in trouble for anything like that. It was another football student athlete. I'll just say that it was a player that was in the SEC East. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. I think I'm with you.
Thanks, Miles.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you, man. Appreciate
Miles.
it.
Brush those teeth.
Got him a cavity. It's not good.
It's never good.
No.
It could be worse.
It could. Could be a root canal.
You don't want those either.
No. Hey, we have another hour to go.
Let's do it.
1 o'clock straight ahead. We're about 1 hour away from baseball being played in the National Collegiate Athletic Association baseball tournament. That would be North Carolina taking on Oklahoma. Oklahoma won yesterday 9-5 on Sunday there in Chapel Hill. They still call it Chapel Hill for baseball. Speaking of that, did you see where his buyout dropped down to $1 million?
I did yesterday.
How about that?
Big day.
Yeah. I think he's going to stay. I think Jordan is giving him the recommendation to stay.
I was about to say, if Jordan wants to stay, then he's staying.
You know, it's interesting because I did not see Bill there at the game, but I saw former Coach Williams. He was there.
Or Roy Williams?
Absolutely.
Huh.
Him and his lovely wife were sitting in the stands. I mean,
how old is she?
Oh, his wife?
Yeah.
I would think that she's a contemporary to Roy.
Oh, okay.
It didn't look like it was Roy's granddaughter, if that's what you're asking.
That
me.
is exactly what I'm
Have we
asking.
had
Thank you,
any
Pat.
Jordan sightings?
No, she's pretty much.
Kept pretty low.
I think she's in
Post-pageant depression.
I think she's in P-Town
Probably.
for the summer.
That's a
Well,
big
it's
time.
lovely this time of year.
Well, it's always lovely in P-Town, right?
I hear the water temperature's exceptionally warm for this time of year right now.
I hear Conrad's going up there for June. June's a big month in P-Town.
Get up there, Conrad.
Thank you, Pat.
Toes in the sand.
Just need me a P-Town shirt and one of every color.
You would do great there. You do great. You're very nice. You're engaging.
He's got a very well manicured beard.
Well, yes, he does. Yes, he does. Doing a little manscaping here. Lately, yeah. Getting ready for that big trip. That's right.
Y'all really paint me into a corner here.
Oh well, we
You
have
can come out of the corner.
Or anywhere else you would like to exit.
I tried Conrad.
You didn't read it fast enough, Molly.
I know,
Go,
I'm
go,
sorry.
go.
Just leaving that time. All we need is a little bit of space. Go ahead.
Well, we have a long summer of heat and humidity ahead, so keep your home comfortable with Trane, America's most reliable HVAC brand. And to give you more peace of mind, Trane is offering up to 10-year warranties on parts and labor on select home comfort systems. So to learn more about this deal and to find a specialist near you, visit Trane.com.
So we're 43 days away from SEC Football Media Days in Atlanta, Georgia. We're 82 days away from kickoff of the college football season on August the 23rd. First game will be played in Ireland. Be fun. But this morning on the Dan Patrick radio show, Commissioner Greg Sankey told Dan Patrick that the 4 Power Conference commissioners are scheduled to talk on a call tomorrow. So that's positive, right? Sankey mentioned as they will seek the next steps in playoff format discussions. There's a big meeting coming up on June 18th of the College Football Playoff Executive Committee. Sankey said disagreements are fine and make us better. We have a responsibility to work together. Sankey re-emphasized his longtime personal opinion on a playoff format, a bracket of the top 12 ranked teams with no automatic qualifiers. That's what Sankey wants. Top 12, no automatic qualifiers. He says, I'd give no allocation or AQs, but when we get into the rooms, we make political compromises. End of quote. And that was the famous quote he had at the end of the Paul Feinbaum show last week in Destin when he says that he was tired of the compromises coming from his conference. Needed to come from another corner, but he was tired of the SEC compromising when they got in these meetings.
Yeah. 5 plus 11 looks great. You want to do away with automatic qualifiers, fine. Still, though, transparency. Are we still going to come back to why is this team ranked higher than the other? Yes, inevitably we will. It would be nice to have some transparency where at least we have metrics, analytics, numbers that support the argument for whatever's being given. But if we don't know and the unknown, Conrad, then that's going to lead to skepticism, speculation, conspiracy theories, and none of this goes away. It doesn't matter.
Well, and that's why you have the situation with the conference games in the SEC right now, right? Is for the longest time it was about money, and it is about money. But now that you know ESPN has put it out on the table, hey, we're going to pay you X number of $1 million for that 9th conference game. Well, okay, then why wouldn't you accept it? It's because you're not guaranteed by making your life more difficult from a scheduling standpoint. That's going to pay dividends with the committee. So, again, we talked about it last week. I know there's bigger issues overall, but it does seem like a lot of these problems kind of come back to the College Football Playoff Committee and the uncertainty they create, and that has put the SEC in this pickle with a 9-conference game schedule, and now it's bleeding into the College Football Playoff.
If the call goes poorly tomorrow, do you think Jim Phillips or Yormark leaks that it's not going well?
Right.
Or do we not hear anything about it? Because I know Greg Sankey and Petiti, they're not saying a word.
No, I don't think you'll hear anything. Well, if it was going to be leaked, I would think it would be leaked and it would come from somewhere in the ACC.
Yeah, I think that's more likely than your mark. I agree with that. I could see where maybe if you had one conference that they really just felt like, man, all right, the three of us are in alliance, we're all in agreement, but whether it's the SEC, the Big Ten, whoever, that one conference, they just will not work with us. I could see something like that coming out.
Well, they all need to work together because they've got a big O payday thanks to ESPN. They've got until December 1st to really consummate, dot the I's, cross the T's for a new college football playoff format. But from the SEC perspective, and Greg Sankey was very open about this last week, the calendar is getting very, very tight for them in regards to what they need to do with an SEC football schedule for 2026. Granted, they've got plenty of options on a laptop at the SEC office. It's not like, okay, now that we come up with a schedule idea, let's all get in a room and let's figure this out. No, they got a million different proposals. But once they conclude that we're going to stay at 8 or we're going to do 9, then which of those formats of the 8 or the 9 game schedule are they going to agree to? There was one that was put out 2 years ago that used data that was 11 years old. Well, the last 2 years been kind of different in regards to some of the numbers from some of these teams.
Some of these issues, and it's easy to pick on the non-Power 4, but some of these issues, why can't you just offer with this big pot of money that's supposedly at the SEC and the Big Ten's disposal? Why don't you just pay those teams to quiet them? Pay those conferences, quiet them. Just say, okay, you don't like this. This is the way that the consensus, but you're still – how much would it take?
And essentially, you just pay off the ACC and the Big 12 to agree to what you want to do. I would think you would want that to be the last resort.
If it's all about money, here we'll give you this portion, we'll give you that. I know there's people. Why should they have to do that? They shouldn't have to do that. But why not throw in some extra coin? People become a lot more agreeable. For most of the schools, the majority of the schools that are in that conference that realize they realistically never have a chance of getting to a college football playoff, I think that they would gladly accept it.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Hopefully it will be a positive call amongst the 4 Power 4 conferences.
Are we hoping for chaos?
No, I'm ready.
I'm resigned. I'm so over it.
I mean, the fact that we still don't have a decision from Judge Claudia Wilkin.
Over that?
I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I think certain briefs are supposed to be, you've got until I think June the 5th, which is Thursday, if my calendar's right, that for those, there's certain type of briefs that need to be presented to the court in regards to people that want to oppose or do certain things moving forward. And so she has to make some type of decision, I believe, by that date. So that would be later this week. So earlier today on the Dan Patrick Show, as we were just talking about, Greg Sankey was on with Dan Patrick. Take a listen to this exchange in regards to what Greg Sankey has told Dan Patrick, what he personally would want in regards to the CFP.
When are decisions made or voted on for expansion for the college football playoffs?
That's a good question. By agreement, the outer boundary is November 30, December 1 of this year for the 26 playoff. Now, keep in mind, when we went to 12 teams, the board said that'll be the format for 2026. Let's start early if we can, which we obviously did, and I think did overall in a successful way. But what was introduced immediately is let's go through these 2 years and conduct an evaluation. So we're in that evaluation standpoint. A lot of talk about really 14 or 16. I think 12 is known as kind of a foundation point, but the conversation is about 14 or 16, and then how our team selected or placed into whatever size bracket exists is more the headline question.
Okay, but what model do you like?
Well, I've been one who said over time, I'd give no allocation. So this whole 5-7 thing that exists now, I just make it the 12 best teams. And I was clear on that. Now, when we get into rooms, we make political compromises, if you will, small p, not like Congress political compromises, but to achieve an outcome.
But who decides on the top 12 teams?
Selection committee. Yeah. But here's what I think. I think we spent so much time expanding and working through our own little side arguments about teams and, oh, we can't do this. We need this. You got to protect this bowl game or that bowl game. We never went back to the essence of decision making, which is how our team selected as everyone relocated over the last 4 or 5 years. Do the analyses that existed and worked for the 14 playoff in 2014 still have the same relevance? And we're behind that curve, in my opinion. That's why other ideas are introduced and considered. And we've looked at ideas, this allocation of, it's called automatic bids. That's such a harsh term. I think allocations is one where I like that word, because we already allocated. And look at last year. We had 2 teams not in the top 4 that get to move up because of the political compromise. We have a team outside the 12 that moves in. And then the teams that are displaced look around and say, hey, wait a second, that doesn't make any sense any longer. That introduces the questions around, should that model continue, or should that allocation model expand where other teams are brought in?
There's Commissioner Greg Sankey. Fascinating conversation with Dan Patrick. Tomorrow morning, the 4 conference commissioners of the Power 4, they will be on a call together. So we'll see if there's any movement whatsoever in regards to that before the June 18th meeting of the entire College Football Playoff Executive Committee.
Just get it done. 12 best teams. Let's get it. Let's do it. But again, how are we doing it? Who's selecting it? What does the committee look like this year? We think that it's good people with good football sense, but where are they getting their data? And where's the transparency coming from inside of that room? We actually have NCAA basketball tournament committee members, Martin Newton, coming on this show and being very transparent about those conversations. Mm-hmm. Why don't we get those? We're supposed to get those from the spokesperson on Tuesday nights. They've done a very poor job of doing that because they don't know, because it continually moves. I don't know why more people aren't coming back to that. Why can we not share where they get the strength of schedule? Why can we not do that? What pictures do they have on whoever?
Well, I think it's going to be a situation, if we're fortunate enough to have that wonderful conference call that we had, that little information meeting that I was a part of.
Yeah.
Remember that? And based on the persons on that call, whether it was Mike Griffith or Barrett Salee or others that asked excellent pointed questions about the strength of schedule and what needs to happen in college football playoff, I have a feeling that they are going to tweak certain aspects of what we're going to know. And I do believe it will be more transparent.
Needs to be.
Because it can't be any worse than what it was. It just can't be. And I think that they absolutely will take the advice of a marketing firm that gets paid millions of dollars to handle stuff for the college football playoff folks, and that they will say, look, we got to throw them a bone. We got to give them something. Got to give them a little bit more. And I think that's another part of the conversation that they're going to have in regards to moving forward. If they expand it to 14, 16, whatever, this is going to be an area that we have to be more transparent. Have to. One thing that is transparent is when you go to Courtesy GMC in Trustful, because they have the very best deals, regardless whether you're there in person or you go to courtesybirmingham.com and you can see for yourself. Now up to $11,000 off MSRP on the highly sought after 4-wheel drive AT4X Sierra 1500. There's multiple in stock to choose from, but they're going fast. Up to 14 grand off MSRP on the Sierra 4-wheel drive SLT and the Sierra Denali Ultimates that are in stock today. Up to $10,000 off MSRP on the 2025 Sierra 2500 HDs in stock. So as you can tell right now, great deals on the Sierra vehicle. Get out there to Courtesy GMC right off of I-459 exit 32. Visit their online inventory at courtesybirmingham.com. 9 acres of inventory for you to choose from. The deepest pre-owned inventory you're going to find in Central Alabama. That is Courtesy GMC in Trussville.
We'll continue. We got Pat Ponders, also The Worst Thing I've Seen. All of that still to come here on Three Man Front and Jocks 94.5. $119 on Three Man Front. Hope you're doing well on this Monday. No Braves tonight. We do have college baseball regionals that will be concluding. First up, you get North Carolina taking on the Southeastern Conference's own, the Oklahoma Sooners. You get that one at 2 o'clock. USC taking on Oregon State at 5. Also at 5, Ole Miss going to host Murray State with the winner advancing to a super regional in that one. Tennessee hosting Wake at 5 o'clock. You got Little Rock taking on LSU tonight there at Alex Box Stadium. And Baton Rouge, 8 o'clock, the start of that one. And also in Hattiesburg, you got Southern Miss in Miami and trying to decide who moves on out of that regional as well. And then you'll have super regional schedule and times that will come out from the NCAA on particular matchups, which Auburn and the likes of Arkansas are waiting. They know who they're going to play. At least Auburn does. They just don't know the times of those games, as I have not seen yet.
Also, Molly, a little bit of an update from the Women's College World Series.
Yeah, me and Landrum were actually talking about during the break. This could be the second or third year in a row, I believe, that we have Texas and Oklahoma in the final, depending on the Oklahoma and Texas Tech game.
As long as Texas Tech doesn't muck it up.
Right. But, yeah, Texas, the Longhorns. I'm sorry to all the Tennessee fans and to all the people on Rocky Top, but the Lady Vols are going home.
Could you imagine the Lady Vols get sent home around 1 o'clock?
Don't you do it, Pat.
And Tony Vitello and the Tennessee baseball team, they get eliminated tonight.
We could be here tomorrow talking about how
And Vitello gets arrested.
Only 2 of the 13 teams in regionals are advancing to the super regionals. Thinks people would have a field day with that in outside of SEC country?
Oh, they're already having a field day.
Oh, I know they are.
Day, just nobody's hearing it because, unfortunately, it's college baseball.
Well,
I mean, I saw people that very typically...
People don't love it as much as we do.
They don't make fun of the SEC, but they were making fun of the SEC this weekend.
So it wasn't just Danny Cannell?
Oh, no. Danny Cannell, that was... You grow to expect that.
Oh, I know.
From Danny Cannell.
Absolutely.
I'm talking about like Aaron Torres. I mean, the guy that went on and on, like, talking about how incredible the SEC was in basketball. And all of a sudden, he's going down that same road of making fun of Greg Sankey and sending out 7-page documents. And Greg Sankey now wants to change the college baseball selection process. And
I like how no other conference ever does this. Never lands a bunch of teams on a tournament, and then they're woeful in the results and how many advance to the next round. Let's talk about 3 of the 4 semifinalists in Oklahoma City.
There was a graphic that went out, I think,
SEC.
on Saturday talking about the ACC was 5-0 against the SEC.
Yep, that was the one I
saw
saw
that one.
Mr. Cannell having fun with,
Yeah.
Well, not anymore. NC State got beat last night.
They got beat bad.
So we need Oklahoma to come through big time today.
Against the Tar
Take down
Heels.
those Tar Heels, yep.
What was Ike Irish's? What would that tail of the tape be?
Oh, that home run he hit? Oh.
Yeah, I want some next-gen stats on some of these home runs.
Monster shots.
Yeah. It's not the bats, Pat.
No.
It's not.
It's the pitching.
No, those are wooden bats.
It's all the travel ball these kids played back when they were 6 years old and got rings.
It's the torpedo bats.
Torpedo bats.
It's very important at age 6.
Yes, it is. Right?
Very much so.
That's exactly how it's going to go in life.
Yeah. All the time.
Set them up for success. The ring thing. I didn't know that was a deal until about 2 years ago. We were like, yeah, they just
that's
won
news to
I was
me.
like, was that like the whole World Series? No, it was a tournament. Oh. Okay, well, that's a nice ring.
How many teams were in the tournament? 3.
3.
Well,
how'd you qualify to get there? We paid a lot of money.
I mean, I just remember, even Greg talking about how, you've got 6-year-old kids wearing, apparently there's some sort of clothing now. It's like ice cream colors or something that all the kids wear for, it's like a baseball, whatever. And you've got 6-year-olds with arm sleeves and things like that. Like,
More to buy.
you kidding me?
If I was making that stuff, I'd absolutely market it for all ages.
Yes. Oh, brilliant business plan. Yeah, all that stuff, and there's some sort of gym short or something that's like ice cream colors, and they're all like all these funky colors, and that's what the kids have to have.
These
and
travel ball organizations, I'm not indicting all of them. I've just heard some horror stories from parents and people that have been a part of it, and the amount of money that they make. Why couldn't you have like a waiting list where you have infants that their parents pay money to put them on the waiting list where they get first dibs on the 6-year-old travel whatever. It's a status thing, right?
Is that more shocking than Kirby Smart saying that high school kids are getting $20,000 a year to hold on to their commitments?
It's right there. It's right there with it. So enjoy all the college baseball.
So speaking of youngsters and recruiting, it's that time again where there's another list out. This is our favorite time of the year. You always get lists because it's kind of the downtime in college football. So The Athletic has now released, they rank the number one recruits of the 21st century. So if you were ranked number one by 247 Sports, they've ranked you from 1 through, I guess, 25.
Based on what you did in college or what you were as a prospect?
I'm glad you asked me that question. This was the process.
I hope it's really confusing.
I'm sure it will be.
The rankings are from the 247 Sports Composite. The modern recruiting era dates to 2002. The first-year Rivals released a ranking, but they're going to start in 2000 to get the full scope of the century of college football. Only a player's college career was taken into account, not what he did or did not do in the NFL. For example, Ohio State wide receiver Jeremiah Smith, class of 2024, and Texas quarterback Arch Manning, class of 2023, are both ranked, but Michigan quarterback Bryce Underwood is not. Underwood, a true freshman, won't play his first collegiate snap until later this year. So who do you think would be number one in this century in regards to being a number one overall recruit for his recruiting year, and then obviously went on and had an incredible college career?
Number one, it's so hard to remember who the number one overalls were. How many Alabama players are on the list?
One.
Okay.
Trying to think of who was number one overall. That's the hard thing to remember.
I'll go ahead and tell you. Andre Smith was the only overall number one player. He was the class of 2006.
Okay, because I like Bryce Young, I think was the number 2 overall player. Okay.
Andre Smith was ranked number 7 on this list. He was the only player from Alabama listed. I did not realize this. He played 800 snaps as a true freshman.
I do believe he's still the highest rated recruit that Alabama's ever gotten, if I'm not mistaken. He was at the time that he committed, obviously. Was Trevor Lawrence the number one player?
He was for his recruiting year, but he was not ranked number 1, according to The Athletic.
Oh, okay.
What about DJ?
DJU?
Yeah. Was he a number one overall player?
I hope not. He was up there. I mean, he was a 5-star.
Coming in at number 1 was Vince Young.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
He was class of 2002.
Can't argue with that one.
Travis Hunter was number 2.
Okay.
What? I kind of want to go Travis Hunter 1.
Okay.
3, Trevor Lawrence. 4, Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette at 5.
Oh, he was really good 11 games every year that he played.
RTR.
Oh, very familiar name. Jadeveon Clowney.
That's who I was going to throw out.
That's a good, yeah.
That might have been, or might not have been, the player that kind of got us in trouble. Andre Smith was 7. Jeremiah Smith, Ohio State, is 8.
I'm surprised he was. Let's just make him number 1. He's the best player ever.
Quinn Ewers, number 9. The guy that wasn't drafted until what round? 5th? 6th?
He was a 7th round pick.
7th round.
By the Miami Dolphins.
But he was the 9th best former overall number 1 recruit for what he did at college. Who put this together?
The Athletic.
Okay. Was this Stewart?
No, it was not.
Okay.
Ernie Sims at number 10 from Florida State. He was a linebacker.
Yeah.
DJ Williams, linebacker from Miami, class of 2000. Kevin Jones, he was an outstanding running back at Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
2001. Daquan Bowers, defensive end from Clemson, class of 2008. Eugene Monroe, offensive tackle from Virginia, class of 2005. Matt Barkley.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Class of 2009 from USC. Rashawn Gary, defensive tackle from Michigan, comes in at number 16.
Okay.
Nolan Smith.
Yeah.
From Georgia, class of 2019. Kim Dichie from Ole Miss.
Ooh.
Yeah, that one. Wait, Nolan Smith was number 17 on
Number
this
17.
list? He should be at least 10 spots higher.
Kim Dichie should have gone to Clemson.
Number 19, Brian Breesy, defensive tackle from Clemson.
He was pretty good.
Joe McKnight, running back from USC.
Evangel
2007.
Christian.
Mm-hmm. Remember the all the fun that went on with his recruitment?
God, he was so good.
Jalen Phillips, defensive end from UCLA, Miami, class of 2017. Ronald Powell, number 22 from Florida. Arch Manning comes in at number 23. 24, Trenton Thompson, defensive tackle from Georgia. And Dorial Green Beckham, wide receiver from Missouri, comes in at number 25.
Again, that's just one of those where if we're going off of college, he should be significantly higher. Now, it didn't pan out after that, but it's an interesting list.
So only one Alabama player.
Well, I was just thinking, how many number one overalls has Alabama had?
One
overall recruit?
It was Andre Smith, yeah.
But that was the only one.
Like the number one in the entire recruiting class.
Yeah. Clemson had 3 in the top 25, and Alabama only had 1.
Because I'm trying to think. I think because Tua was like number 2 overall, I think. Bryce Young was number 2 overall.
And with a lot of those, especially the quarterbacks, it's always, I know it's the overall player, the ranking, but it's like, oh, he was the number 1 pro-style quarterback, or he was the number
for his position.
Yeah, or whatever the case may be. So, but yeah, interesting list. Vince Young was number 1, Travis Hunter 2, Trevor Lawrence 3 in your top 3. Interesting list. Speaking of list.
That's a tough list.
Yeah. I've got 5 questions. We'll get into that next with Pat Ponders. This is Jocks 94.5.
135, 3-man front. It is a reaction Monday. A lot of your texts, a lot of them we have not gotten into. On the Jocks text line, 205-834-9450. A lot of talk around NCAA baseball regionals from the past weekend. Kevin O'Sullivan, Florida coach, his comments being very upset about schedule there at the Conway Regional. He was called out by Coastal Carolina, their head baseball coach, but viral comments going everywhere about a tirade where he was upset with the schedule being changed and 19 in counting F-bombs in a 47-second clip that was picked up. A lot of reaction to that. 205-834-9450. Josh says, how about Kevin O'Sullivan to the Braves? No, thank you. We do not want that. This one comes in next. Braves managerial staff, Dale Murphy as your manager, Bob Horner, hitting coach, Bruce Benedict, bench coach, Tom Glavine, pitching coach, and Chipper Jones, special assistant to the team because he's not dedicated enough to be a full-time coach. That's pretty good. Terry Pendleton and Otis Nixon. Huh. Okay. Nick is asking, is Sankey saying the number 3 team would not get an automatic bid, for example?
I don't think he wants an automatic
bid.
No
automatic bids at all?
In any. Zero.
None.
12 best teams. That's what he wants.
Allocation. Automatic bid. He doesn't like the term.
That's right.
Cody says, give me Ron Washington or Rafael Furcal.
I think Furcal's a little busy.
Yeah.
I've always liked Ron Washington, though.
You want to talk about F-bombs?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yes. But he does it in a very entertaining way. This one rolls in. Huge Rockies fan. Been a fan since living there during the inaugural season, playing an old Mile High Stadium. What do you think it will take to turn the franchise around?
Move.
I want to see another Rocktober. Sign Lane.
Move the franchise.
Demand better as a fan?
Well, first off, you would have to overpay to get a pitcher to go there.
Mm-hmm.
A free agent pitcher.
You would.
Just like they did Mike Hampton.
Yeah.
Did not turn out very well.
The closer I was thinking about, Jose Jimenez, who you told me.
Pitched a no-hitter for the Cardinals.
Yeah. 2000 to 2003. This one coming in from our buddy Keller. He said, you guys don't know this, but I'm a Rockies fan. It's a chill fan base, no angst or turmoil. Almost rooting for them to set the record, make history one way or another. Why not? 9-50 overall. Appreciate your text, 205-834-9450.
So earlier today on the 3-Man Front Twitter page, we asked the Twitter poll question, what non-SEC football opponent would you like to see Alabama schedule every season? It was very interesting, the four, Molly, that we gave the audience. It was very close competition so far.
Yeah, so the 4 teams were Clemson, Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Penn State. And right now, the leading result is the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame with 43.3%. Second is Penn State with 22.6%, but Ohio State isn't far behind with 21.2%. And last is Clemson with only 12.9%.
Who did you vote, Conrad?
Ohio State, because I absolutely despise them, and I want a chance to beat them every single year.
That's a great answer. That is a great answer.
I hate Ohio State.
So you would love to have a season series with them every year?
I would absolutely love that, yes. They can bring Trey Sermon back every year, and we'll break his collarbone just like a national championship
Whoa.
They were soft, man. They played 4 games that year because of COVID. He gets in there, snaps his collarbone the first play from scrimmage. Maybe if he had played a full season, that
maybe
would
that's
happen.
a calcium deficiency.
Never mind.
If I remember
I
right,
have a different word for that, but I can't say it on the radio.
Oh, yes, you can.
Didn't Devontae Smith
It
break
ends in
his
itis.
fingers in that game?
Yeah, after he had 300 yards receiving in the first half, Pat.
I was just pointing out.
Yes, he did get hurt. He got a little boo-boo.
He should have played. He'd be fine.
I want to see Bama and Notre Dame.
It's interesting because if you look at the non-conference opponents that Alabama has played in its history. Penn State, I think they've played them as many times as they've played Clemson. And it makes sense for Clemson because I think they've played them 18 times, Clemson, just because it's a Southern school.
Yeah.
A lot of times the Southern schools would get on a train and that's how they would play, or the amount of times that they would play somebody. So I was looking this up earlier. So in regards to their all-time opponents, Alabama has played, let's see, I mentioned Penn State. They played Penn State 15 times.
And they played Clemson 18?
They played Clemson 18 times.
Feels like they played about 10 times in the last 10 years.
Well, yeah, pretty much, yeah. Now, Ohio State, Alabama has played them a grand total of 5 times. So that'd be a pretty interesting series if they were to play all the time. Now, of course, Notre Dame and Alabama has not played as many times. They played 8.
You said Notre Dame and Alabama's only 8 times?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Alabama's 3-5 all time. Meanwhile, obviously, the Penn State series was big under Coach Bear Bryant and Joe Paterno. And that was a good series. And then, of course, Nick Saban took Alabama up to Happy Valley.
Mm-hmm.
I believe A.J. McCarron was the quarterback when they last played. And then Joe Pa turned around and came to Tuscaloosa. Alabama won both of those games, by the way. So all-time Alabama's 10-5 against Penn State.
So 9 conference games, Conrad, and then let's get the
Ohio State
home and home
Alabama.
with Ohio State.
Yep. I would love that. You're going to get it potentially in, when is that, 2028? Is that when Alabama and Ohio State have their series? Because they have a home and home.
And how should
coming
that
up.
help your strength of schedule? Well, right now we'll never know.
It should help your strength of schedule, but does it?
That's a
Nah,
secret.
Probably not.
Could have been a secret stat that they snuck in there.
Yeah.
So messed up.
So, yeah. So you can go vote on the three-man front Twitter page because that's interesting in regards to who you would like to see. Conrad is hell-bent on Ohio State. I think a lot of the old school folks would love to see Penn State again. That was a good series between those two.
Yeah, it was.
I think everyone don't want to see Clemson just because it's
No.
just
Well,
'cause
we got it so many times recently. It's, give it a break for a little bit.
Yeah. Water can find its way into your crawl space, bringing dangerous mold, mildew, and wood rot into your home, but APS can protect your home's foundation, provide valuable storage space as well. The APS crawl space encapsulation system can stop water, keep pests out, while lowering your energy costs. The engineers at APS can design a custom solution for your home by simply calling 951-9717. Just put 205 in front of it. APS, been around since 1977, helping the homeowner like myself with all these particular issues around your home. 205-951-9717 or visit their website at alabamaprofessional.com.
He's got questions. We hope to answer those questions. Pat Ponders next.
Paul Feinbaum Show coming up at the top of the hour. We do this every day, brought to you by Courtesy GMC. I got questions, I got answers. This is Pat Ponders.
I want to know what you're thinking. Tell me what's on your mind.
It's time for Pat Ponders.
Brought to you by Courtesy GMC and Trustful. Visit their online inventory at courtesybirmingham.com. Question number 1. Over the weekend, TNT wrapped up its NBA coverage with Ernie, Shaq, Kenny, and Charles as they're now moving their show to ESPN. So in your lifetime, what pregame show, it can be any sport, did you enjoy the most?
I mean, for me growing up, it was always College Game Day.
Not Big Noon Kickoff?
Wasn't a thing yet.
I mean, I think just, again, separating the pregame show from what the game you were actually going to watch was Inside the NBA is the best that I've ever seen. I could watch that as a sitcom. And I think that's, one of the highest compliments you could give to a show like that is I would watch it even if there was no game after.
Yeah, I don't like the NBA anymore, but I could watch that show.
That is the best part
It's
of the
entertaining
NBA.
no matter what they're talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's almost
I'm with
more
you.
entertaining when they don't have anything to talk about.
Yep.
It's brilliant.
And they all play off of one another so well.
So is that your
That's
all-time?
my final answer. Yeah.
All time?
It's the best.
Okay. Question number 2. Vegas has just posted the best odds for an exact Super Bowl matchup. Which of these top 3 would you put money on? Philadelphia versus Buffalo. Philadelphia versus Baltimore. Excuse me, did I say Buffalo or Baltimore, the first one?
Buffalo was the first one.
Okay. Baltimore was the second one. The third one is Philadelphia versus Kansas City.
So we're not giving anybody a shot in the NFC.
Where are the Lions?
They were the 4th best odds against Buffalo.
Okay.
That's post Frank Ragnow retirement.
Yeah, I know.
So Philadelphia versus Buffalo, Philadelphia versus Baltimore, Philadelphia versus Kansas City. Those are your top 3 exact matchups for the best odds for the Super Bowl. Who you taking? Which matchup?
I would love to see Philly and Buffalo because I think those two fan bases together would be a movie.
Oh, they'd eat each other alive.
They
yeah.
would. And, Josh Allen, he's a married man now, so maybe that helps him.
Or hurts him.
Or it could.
What if he gets
But
pudgy?
I'm
What
gonna
if he
hope
gets
that it
pudgy,
doesn't.
Molly?
I'm going to hope it
A
doesn't.
lot of casseroles.
And I don't want to say the Chiefs because we're all over them.
I'm pulling for Buffalo.
See, me too.
So Philadelphia Buffalo is your choice?
Yeah.
Is that yours?
Yes, that's mine.
Got to see their fans' season end in heartache 4 straight years.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Eagles and Ravens. And I think Lamar Jackson's a little ticked off that he didn't win the MVP again last year over Josh Allen. We've been hyping up the Bills for so long now.
That goes
They
away,
can't
Conrad.
get
First
it
2 minutes
done.
of the game.
Well, see, here's my thing, because I was with what you were going with. I mean, now that he's married, like, right, you don't have as much to impress, right? You've already got the girl, so maybe now you see him turn down a little bit. Not saying he's not going to be a good player, but I'll go with Lamar Jackson, a little chip on his shoulder. Wants to be the flag football quarterback. Wants to show everybody he can win a title first.
I would pay at least $20 right now to guarantee that we don't see the Chiefs.
Oh, you feel pretty confident that we don't see the Chiefs?
No,
back?
that's what I'd be willing to pay right now, not to watch the Chiefs in a Super Bowl.
Only $20?
Ask me on Friday. Right now it's $20.
So the 4th best odds was Detroit and Buffalo at 20-1.
There you go, Molly.
I like that one.
Detroit and Buffalo.
That'd be great.
Yeah. For the Northeast.
Next question. NFL players are now going to be in the LA Olympics. Major League players may be next. Baseball is back in the Olympics in 2028 in Los Angeles, continuing a back-and-forth situation that saw the sport in the global competition 16 times between 1900 and 2008, and then it stepped away from the games for 13 years, returning for the pandemic-delayed 2021 Olympics in Tokyo, and then absent again in Paris because they had to have breakdancing instead of baseball.
Yeah.
So Major League Baseball would have to shut down if they're going to be a part of the 2028 Los Angeles Games for over 2 weeks if they were to allow their players to participate in the Olympic Games. Now, the NHL already does that for their season to allow their players to go play in the Olympics. Is this a good or a bad idea for Major League Baseball to adopt?
Try it for 1 year. I think those guys, they deserve to go and play for their country, compete on that stage, especially since it's in LA. Let's try it for an Olympics, and you don't get it, but what, every 4 years? Mm-hmm. So I can deal with that as an American.
Yeah, and look, I understand they're completely different, and they're different times in the schedule and stuff. But I mean, if we're okay with the World Baseball Classic and how that impacts, I guess, players getting ready for the season, no, I have no problem with a couple-week break and let everybody that wants to participate, and everyone else can go to Cancun or whatever.
Yeah, the MLB's fine with it. I think it's a good idea. And plus, like Landrum said, it's only once every 4 years, so why not?
As of right now, Major League Baseball owners and general managers say no, it will not happen. No way. Because they would need like more than 3 weeks to get the guys.
Oh, yeah, to get them trained.
And you're talking about, and the reason why that they would not allow them to do it is because the month of July, from a turnstile standpoint with vacations.
Is that the most money they make?
The most money they make in a Major League Baseball franchise is in the month of July.
Okay, so it's not going to happen then.
It's about selling tickets, and even if your team's terrible like the Colorado Rockies, you get a lot of people vacationing and going to games and whatnot, and July would be horrible. So from that standpoint, they said,
no way.
It's not going to happen. But at least they're having a discussion, potentially.
Yeah. Do you have a college coach that coaches that team? Do we get Kevin O'Sullivan? Tony Vitello.
I think both of them should like be co-head coaches.
Yes.
Just let Kevin O'Sullivan manage the facilities.
Well, O'Sullivan will probably be the head coach of Ireland, and Vitello would be head coach of the Italian team.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Congratulations, Butch Thompson.
Yeah, you're the head coach of the USA team. All right, that's today's Pat Ponders, brought to you by Courtesy GMC in Trustful.
Well, that was fun. A lot more fun. How many ejections did we get tonight? How many coaches showed their butts this afternoon in regional play?
A plethora.
Vitello,
does he get run tonight?
I think we get one ejection tonight.
One? Just one?
Just one. But it's going to be a good one.
We'll react to it tomorrow. We're live from Social Taco. Come and join the fun like so many others have, 10 to 2. Thanks for joining us today. We always appreciate your interaction. God is great. Paul Feinbaum is next.